This conference will now be recorded.
It's a map of the water system, but we got it.
Okay, we're live.
That's supposed to be another exhibit.
We're live? Okay.
We're live.
I can't.
Their motor meeting tonight.
The situation you're in,
Miss Owens, where's she?
it's made very difficult for me. Because
Okay,
they keep talking about all the time.
it's time, let's go. Hello, everyone. This is Conley Bass. It's been noticed that there would be a workshop meeting of the Bruceville-Eddy City Council on June the 3rd, 2021 at 5 p.m. at the City Hall, 143 Wilcox Drive. This meeting is open to the public. It's also being a telephonic meeting. No action will be taken at this workshop. The regular meeting will start at 6:30. So it is now 5:03 p.m. and this workshop is now in session. Y'all want to discuss anything on the agenda? Nothing else?
Real quick, can I give y'all some updates?
Okay.
Today, Heather Spivey's grandmother passed away, so she's gonna be in Nevada, New Mexico for the next week or so. So if y'all keep her in your prayers.
Okay, we sure will. Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, well, she's been sick for a little while,
Yeah.
but she passed away at 11 o'clock.
Please mute your phone. We can hear that if somebody needs to. Okay, thank you. All right. Y'all want to start, or we'll just go down the line on the agenda? City engineer, you got something you'd like to say on this workshop? You're on the agenda, item number 4.
I do,
Oh, Put it in that holder, and we'll do that.
I'll turn that one off.
That sounds like a good idea.
Item A under my report is about a meter moratorium, and it refers to Falls County, Horseshoe Bend, and Friendly Oaks area, but, and there is a resolution that I've got off of the website, and the resolution is the one, I think, or something close to the one that was used back before the Talbert well was drilled. And so it talks about getting a well supply and designing a well and finding land for a well and that kind of stuff. So that really doesn't fit the situation that we have, because we have a problem primarily in Falls County. It's not all of Falls County. The part that goes out Highway 7, on each side of Highway 7, you've got some capacity. But there's a large part of it that you don't.
Is that on Old Blevins? Old Blevins?
Well,
It's 438, 437. Go ahead.
we had a planned improvement on Old Blevins.
Yes.
That was to resolve that. But it was never constructed. So that's what we need to do, but the problem is that I don't know where all the meters are that are out there now, 4 years later. Some of them have been taken out, some of them added. And so what I'm gonna recommend on this item is that you do pass a moratorium on meters in Falls County until I get the hydraulic analysis and mapping update done, so I know where everything is. So I will do another one of these that has new maps, that has everything on it that's been done, because there's been a lot of, this talks about a lot of improvements that have already been done. And so we need one that has, we need a set of maps that have all those included, and we need a set of we need a hydraulic analysis that includes those, plus all the other meters and the improvements that have been done.
Well, I hate the word meter moratorium, because that implies to everybody that we do not have water. And that's not good for the city. Just a minute.
I'm just hoping when you recognize it.
Okay, I really mean, what was I saying?
Implies we don't have water.
Yes, that's what it looks like. do you think that, meter studies would suffice for this? Because there's some areas that can get meters, but when you have a moratorium, that means no meters.
But that's just Falls County, and these affected
I
areas.
know that, Mr. Talbot.
Well, we could, the
Yes,
problem that I
yes.
ran into is we didn't have any requests in Falls County for a long time.
Yeah,
And now we've had some, and some
Yeah.
of them are
We haven't
pretty
got the
significant.
resolution passed. That's
And
what we did this
I
time.
can't tell you, I mean, they can send me a meter study, but I can't give you results because I don't know enough about that.
I
I
see.
know. I was
Okay,
the last one.
okay, that's all I wanted to know. I
One
just, I hate,
possibility is that, you could choose not to pass a moratorium
That's fine.
until we get through with the mapping update,
Yeah.
hydraulic analysis, and we
You'll
figure
do the
out
workshop.
exactly what we need to do to fix that problem, so that you do have capacity for additional meters, or at least your system is in compliance with TCEQ, which is what I shoot for.
yeah,
So then you can decide how you
Okay.
can deal with it. But
okay,
the meters studies that come from Falls County, I'll continue to do them the way I've been doing them.
Bye-bye.
Just say, I can't give you an answer at this point in time.
okay, that's good enough. Okay, Mr. Talbot, what do you got?
Now, on that area there, certain areas out there, we have the capacity because of the lines. But as a whole, it's not. Most of them are 2 inch or less. That means 438, 437, and some other ones back 451, 456. Yeah, out 437, 435, there's a 4, and the 6 goes out past the liquor store. Now, how many feet it goes, I can't tell you, I didn't go measure it. But I know about what, this man that wants the meters out there. Knows the land well, 13. It's around 20,000 feet, give or take. Now, in the past, those people wanted water, they come in here and applied for it, for me. They would send it to you, and then they paid you, true?
Right.
And we already knew the answer to start with. That ain't acceptable. We're gonna deny it. So I agree, there needs to be a moratorium in Falls County as of now. Now, the problem with Horseshoe Bend in front of the Oaks is their ballgame. That's around the well site in front of the Oaks, the old small lines around the old well site. In Horseshoe Bend, there's big lines there, but it doesn't go back up in there to feed them. So, my thinking is this, till this sewer is done, and we can go ahead and do some other things to plan and study, but we're not gonna know what we're gonna have to do for his money. But we can't really, I'm not in favor of spending $16,000 on another hydraulic study today. Because to me, when it comes time that we gotta have the money to do it, now unless somebody wants to borrow it, which is okay with me, you can borrow money as long as you make money. But, I'm not in favor of people in Falls County or places where we know we're not gonna give a meter to come in and apply for it and send it to you and you charge them. And we know the answer to begin with. That's not acceptable to me as a council member and as a citizen of this community. So I agree with the moratorium. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Wiggins.
Oh, Johnny, now who did you say wrote this?
I suspect it was probably, I honestly don't know. I'm just looking at this, and it refers to a well, okay? And I know that there was a point in time when, before the Talbot well was completed, finished, and put in service, the city didn't have enough water to serve any more meters. We were right at the limit.
Yes.
And so this moratorium was passed to have a basis for explaining why we can't add meters until that's done.
Okay, so this same moratorium was passed back then?
Something close to that. I don't know if that's the same one or not. Is that the one that
So
was passed in?
what happened was, I found the moratoriums, I emailed them to Pam, and evidently Pam and I both did not change it to meet exactly. We've never written one of those before. So we pulled the old one, and I guess we didn't realize that we had changed. the
So
verbiage.
you and Pam wrote this?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
all right.
So,
So
like
what,
I said, it was the first time though.
on the moratorium, then, I mean, we're basically saying no more meters. And what do we base that assumption on?
Yeah, and this one right here talks about no meters anywhere.
Yes.
That was, we had that several years ago,
Yes.
and it lasted for way over a year.
Yeah, I mean, this one here that we're looking at, and consider, it says no meter.
That's right.
And what do we base that on? How we can't just
So
give
for
no
Falls
meter?
County, you need, it's Falls County, is
I'm
it not?
asking Johnny.
I know, I'm just making a
So
statement.
at the time that was done, the city, their TCEQ has a rule that says you have to have 0.6 gallon per minute for every meter that you have on the system, plus like the big meters, the school meters, 2 and 3 inch meters, you gotta count them as 8. So by the time we total all that up and we applied 2,000 meters, whatever the number was, by the time you included the big meters, then you did not physically have enough contract with Blue Bonnet or enough well capacity to serve any more meters.
But that was back then.
That's right.
Okay, so that wouldn't, right now, we don't have anything to base this on at all.
No.
Okay. All right, I think that pretty much answers
Go
my
ahead.
question.
Go
what I
ahead.
need to do.
The basis for I've recommended that you pass a moratorium in Falls County, okay? Not system-wide.
Right,
And
okay.
that is based on the hydraulic analysis that was done in 2017 that shows a large part of the Falls County area is out of compliance. And so, I don't know what it is today, but that's the reason I said that.
Okay, another thing, did Sonia, did y'all get with him about this moratorium?
I don't, it was on the agenda and it was sent out, but I
No,
don't
but I
know.
mean, did you
Like,
get
I
with
didn't
Johnny
ask-
about
no,
it
I
before
did
you
not.
filled it out?
No, I did
Why?
not ask Johnny.
Why?
Johnny sent me an email recommended that we do a moratorium in Falls County.
So,
So I figured since we couldn't give any on Horseshoe Bend, then list them on there too, and out in Bethany or whatever, to list them on it. Because we can't give meters right now, so are we gonna continue?
So
taking
you just
meter
arbitrarily just decided to put in something without Johnny told you Falls County, and you arbitrarily decided to throw these other ones in?
It's not put in, it's just written, right? It's
studies?
not
Just
put in.
no, it's
Well,
not.
no, I
It's just
understand
an
that, it's
example.
proposed, it's
Yeah,
proposed.
proposed.
Yeah, but I mean,
gotta
the
vote on.
point is, if he just said Falls County, then you or Sonia should not
I
arbitrarily just take it upon yourself.
I did it.
That's
Yeah.
just,
I put it in there because the reason why is, are we gonna continue taking meter studies in that area and taking the people's money, and then we know they can't get a meter? Like you said.
My 2 cents worth.
go ahead.
You have capacity in, all of your systems, except like Horseshoe Bend, your pipe's too small.
Yes,
So
we
you
know
can
that, yes.
You can actually fix that
Yeah,
with your crew, laying some pipeline
yeah.
in there to get the pipe bigger, and you'll have capacity. You have pressure and volume, and you have plenty of supply for that.
Yes.
So the other one is out, on, Robin Road, that part out there, you're in compliance. You're not out of compliance, and you can add meters, but the addition of the meters is expensive.
Yeah.
Because of the improvements that have to be made. And in the case of the recent one we had, it wasn't worth putting 1 meter in. But if somebody decides they wanna put 40 meters out there, then it might be worth it to them to build the pipeline to get to that point so you can. And so all that the meter study does is says, the system's in compliance right now out there in the Robin Road area, and if you wanna add meters, you gotta get it back in compliance, okay? So in Falls County, You can't do that.
No.
Because the system is not in compliance.
Okay.
And Horseshoe Bend,
Gene was shaking his head
right,
no.
Horseshoe Bend, like he said, it does need to be upgraded, but with the manpower we have, we can't do it. Because there's only 4 of us, and if we tackle something like that, and we get a problem across town, or wherever, then that job's going to have to sit there until we can get back to it.
No, that's a different thing, I understand.
But no, I'm just saying, that's why.
We'd have a contractor to do that. Y'all are not expected to do a big
To
job
get it
like
done,
that.
done quickly.
That's too big a job for y'all.
Right.
Yes, Sonia?
Connie, since we're here tonight, and this is, I don't know why we weren't told before tonight that that was not correct. Is there any way you can tell us what we need to strike out and add to, so that the council would be able to vote on it tonight, on the resolution itself? Do you have notes or something?
I think we can just do Falls County if we want to. We don't have to pass on the whole
We need to make the
thing.
resolution correct.
Oh.
So you're gonna be voting on passing the resolution, and we need to make the resolution correct.
I don't think I can do that tonight, but if you want me to do that, I will rewrite this where it is for Falls County. And I will probably be a little bit more specific than Falls County and talk about the county roads that are out there that we know are out of compliance. You do have an area on Highway 7
Yes.
that has big enough pipelines.
Yes.
If somebody came in and wanted to put a store or wanted to put apartments or whatever out there, you got capacity for that. But you don't on those small lines.
Some example there, on 7, is the 6 goes out so far, and then it goes in the 4, and then the 2 on the other side, and it goes on from Avon, goes all the way down to 435 with a 4. Then it goes down to 438, and it goes back to 435 Bruceville-Eddy. Then it hits 438 down there and goes forward something across to 1239. Yeah, that man has been wanting these extra meters out there, 13 of them. And that's what precipitated this study. True or false?
There's actually.
Part of it, that's part of it.
Yeah, there's, that property has been looked at before with a 20 meter, and then there's another place on Old Bruceville-Eddy.
Well, this,
Is that the one that goes by the
we're
sewer
just
plant?
talking about this 13,
Okay,
come up recently.
yeah, and that's.
And
where
this
it
man
came
keeps
up.
asking, just tell me what it's gonna cost. Tell me what it's gonna cost. And then I'll see if I can do this. Well, I measured this today. Give or take, it's 21,000 feet. Now, you put a 6-inch line out there, plus put it in, he can't do that. But, when you do that, you can tie it into 435, goes Bruceville-Eddy, 438, that would help our system. But 13 meters won't allow us, as a city, to help participate in, even though it helps us in other areas. So it's the same with Robin Road. You get enough meters to make it feasible in the long run for the city, then we can help participate. We can't do it for 1, 2 meters. And the answer to that is come to the crossroads and extend that sucker up there so far as a 6 to a 3, then an 1.5 inch, and you just tie on to it, make a 6 all the way. But that's something that we need to study, but I can see that, we can do all that now with the financial situation we're into the sewer company. Because I'm a little apprehensive about the sewer coming down, so things have been booming. But, that's my opinion. Thanks for giving me the, wait a minute, one thing. You talking about the well and that other study, that you said it was somewhere in here?
I don't think.
It ain't in here.
No, it's not in there.
I haven't seen it.
No, it's not in there.
So where is it?
That was before the well.
This is 17, 6 or 17.
I think.
I don't think it was, may have been, but the well come before that, but I don't think so.
You know
But
when it
anyway.
was passed before? This is the moratorium,
No, I don't know.
16, something.
This was 17, your study here. June the 6th of 17.
But I was trying to figure out when this moratorium was put in. I'm thinking that it might have been.
Well, there was a long time people called up here, and they said, we want this and that, buy this land and that, and the people said, we don't have no water. That's not true. We've always had plenty of water for a while, and then the well come on up there till you plug the Eddy well. Now, on this subject of the well, we were very fortunate in September and October. The well by my house went down, and then a few weeks later, the Friendly Oaks went down. Y'all took out the line across Bethany Road. Understand why? But there's a way to solve that. We were lucky that we weren't out of water. If it'd been in the drought, people would have had to ration water, wouldn't have had any. You can't feed this system too many ways. TCEQ tells you that. You put piers across that creek over there. Concrete piers, in case it, put a line on there and tie that sucker back in. I just want this council to understand what we're dealing with here. With no water, there's no growth. I don't care how much sewer you got. They ain't gonna move here if you ain't got the size of water lines to make them move. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, I've got,
Okay. Yes,
yeah,
Mr.
yeah, it seems just off the top, this ought to be put off to the next meeting. We've put it in the agenda for all three of these areas, to be under a meter moratorium, and that needs to be changed. That's not what we're talking about. Is that correct? I mean, do I understand that this is wrong? This meter moratorium is wrong?
Well,
The resolution is not correct.
And then also in the moratorium, it discusses, acquiring land for a new well.
Well, what we could do is, if y'all wanted to go forward with it tonight, we could change the resolution.
Yeah.
We could take out the part, and you could take out the horseshoe bend, you could take out the parts which say specific all county.
So
And your motion are, probably what would be best, would just be to
So what I'm,
table all of this.
what I'm saying is tabled it, bring it back where it's on the agenda, and we've got, but as far as the moratorium, I had other issues, with the moratorium. And it was beyond just learning now that it was, not correctly stated.
Okay.
So it's like, authorizing, a couple of these items need to come to council. And as we go along in the project, step one, we do the analysis. Okay, I'm very much a layman, so apologize if I'm not completely understanding everything. First, we do the analysis. Now, on the moratorium in Falls County, if that's recommended, to us by our engineer, and we got, people agreeing with it, I'm okay with that if that's what's recommended. I don't like taking people's money when we know they're not gonna be given a meter. So, but it would need to be clearly explained, as the mayor's first concern was, that we send the wrong message out to the community. And so, anyway, but those are the things I was gonna say. I'm just glad to know this was a template that was pulled out from the past, but, we should have had some input on it before it was put out to the
Right,
public.
and in the
Put out to the
future,
public.
in the future, I'll definitely be getting Johnny before I do anything on the moor. Like I said, it was the first time I've ever done one, first time I've ever done one. We thought we were doing it right.
Yeah, but if I
And
understand
until
right,
tonight, I didn't know we didn't do it right.
conceptually though, excuse me for interrupting.
The old council was aware of these problems, if you'll remember, Mr. Taylor.
Yeah.
But there were three big things that we needed to do. Falls County was one of them, and, but we decided, the council did, to more or less put this on hold until after the sewer was done, to concentrate on the sewer. But we expected to have the sewer in 2 or 3 years ago, but here we are, we're still waiting. In the meantime, we still have the water problem.
With the old councilman here no more.
But, yes, I know that, Mr. Demetrius. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, Mr. Mayor, that I don't think Mr. Fowler was.
Yeah, I was just gonna.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr.
No, there's no problem, not any problem
We're
at all.
having a problem here,
We
we're gonna
have
have to, what we're gonna have to do, I've been very lax with everybody, because this is a little town of Bruceville-Eddy, it's not Dallas or Houston, but, we need to start following strictly parliamentary procedures. Everybody butting in and talking, from here on out, if you want to talk, you get permission to talk. And quit whispering in my ear, 'cause I can't hear what you say anyhow.
And now, okay, if
Okay.
you don't mind, while
You
you're
go ahead.
laying some ground rules down, that applies to these people out here
It
too.
applies to everybody.
Graham and you don't need to be talking when we're talking up here.
Or Gene, anybody else?
Or Gene, or
That's-
any of the audience.
I'm
whatever.
sorry that it has to be that way, but it's getting to where it's got to be that way, or I'm out of here.
I'm
not
for it.
I'm not gonna be in charge of meeting with all this interruptions and disruptions, and, I know this, I know that, you know.
Thank
We're just, we've got a man here that's worked for the city, and we're going to listen to him. That's our only choice. We don't have anybody else to ask, so.
Yeah, you do.
And, anyhow,
Mr. Mayor,
go ahead, yes.
Mr. Griffins.
Oh, I'm sorry, I don't see,
Yeah,
yeah.
I have a question to ask you.
All right.
Don't you think, instead of saying Falls County, we need to be specific, what we mean in Falls County? You said a while ago, there's places that we do have enough water.
There is places where you have enough water, and I would recommend a moratorium be pretty specific on where you don't have capacity, and that be the places where you don't have capacity.
Right.
So, you're right.
Yeah.
And I think the moratorium can be tools where that happens.
I agree. Mr. Talbot, go again.
Do you have any idea what it costs in the black dirt?
Not off the top of my head. I can, if I know.
How many of these lines you put in?
A bunch, but right,
Well, just from past experience, what does it cost to put in 6-inch line of black dirt?
I don't know.
Okay, let's move on.
I have,
Oh, let's let him.
Well, maybe
finish.
I ain't finished.
Well, you've said enough for now.
Well-
Recognize you're out of order.
Okay,
You're out of order, Mr. Talbot.
I said, okay.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr.
I have one comment about this report. And on page 2, it talks about your existing facilities, and the Talbot well is listed in the 4th paragraph. So when this was done, the Talbot well was in service. So you didn't have a water supply problem anymore. And the moratorium was not in effect, so.
Okay, good. Yes,
You know, one more thing, Mr. Mayor, it would be my recommendation too, that whenever the preliminary report is put out here, resolution, and it be sent to the council prior to the council, meeting, and plenty of time, and if, in case we wanna change it, because I'm gonna recommend right now, my recommendation is to change the language in items 1 through 5, instead of the mayor and the city administrator, to say the mayor and city council. Or 2 through 5, to say the mayor and city council, and item number 1, to say the city engineer, water superintendent, and city council. That's gonna be my recommendation, to amend it to that. That's all, sir.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You have anything else, Mr. Taylor?
No, thank you, Mayor.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Okay.
Sonia's got her.
Yes, Sonia, that's about the
I'm
letter.
kind of confused on what Mr. Wiggins just said, because council members usually get their packets on Friday, so you would have your packet and everything in it, and plenty of time for you to make any changes before Monday.
Okay, but,
Okay,
okay, what I mean by that is, like we know right now, this is gonna come out. We know it's gonna be on whatever next meeting we have. And I've already said that what my recommendation would be, and that might be some other council members' recommendations too, so if you send that out to us ahead of time, then I can send it back to you and say, well, why don't you amend it to read this? Instead of waiting till we get here at the council meeting, and then somebody says, well, I don't like it the way it is, let's vote to change it like this, and now we gotta change it, then we gotta bring it back, and that type of thing. That's what.
Mayor, may I speak again, please?
Yes,
So that makes sense. Mr. Tabor said he's gonna do it for us. So as soon as he gives it to me, then I'll forward it to you all. And then if y'all have any changes, then y'all can make your changes, forward it back to me, then I'll forward it back to Johnny to make sure it's good. And in the future, that's the way we'll handle that.
okay. Yes, Mr. Tom.
Was that pertaining to worry about borrowing money and going out for anything?
Yes, all of that, like I said, item 2 through,
I agree with what your statement was, because I will never, if the councilman agreed, for those people to be able to go in and obligate the citizens without the council approval.
yes. Not nothing against.
No,
No, but you don't ever know who we're gonna have. That's why.
Thank you, Mr. Marshall.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, I don't see no problem with that. I have no problem with that.
Okay. Well,
Council, you know,
maybe this the boat stops where it needs to be.
okay, all right. Now, is that all? Also, item C on there, to discuss and approve Mr. Gershon's letter concerning the Creekside Ranch, Foster Branch attorney. What is this, does this need to be discussed?
I know it's in here.
Send it.
The letter's in here somewhere.
Look good to me, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
I don't know about the other council members.
Yes, go ahead, Tanya.
I got an email and I actually got a phone call from Mr. Gershon, the assistant attorney. And it turns out the attorneys they were gonna send this letter to is no longer representing Foster Branch.
Jeez.
So they don't even know where they're gonna have to send the letter to,
That's going
because they don't
on.
know what attorneys are representing them now. So what he suggested is we send the letter to the actual corporate offices of Foster Branch.
Yes.
Yes.
So their attorneys quit, basically.
Is that about the easement?
Mhm.
Okay.
Mr. Taylor, you can tell you about that. You wanna ask him?
I don't wanna ask.
Okay.
I don't care.
You always care.
That's not my problem, the easement. The city had an easement, and then they decided to make a, combination easement out for all the other utilities.
Yes.
And the city don't wanna do that.
No.
That's all I need to know.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
Let's move on to item 5, Water Department report from Gene Spry. You want to say anything? This is
Yeah,
just
well,
a
I just want to give
workshop.
y'all these, so y'all look over. It's for 2 months, 'cause I didn't have them printed out last month.
Now, this is a workshop, y'all can talk about
Right.
any item you want to.
And I'll get you one, Mayor.
I don't have to have it.
It's just a report of what we've been doing for the last 2 months.
Yeah. Y'all been busy, I know that.
You mean you been doing something, Chief? Well,
Thank you.
we've been, but I don't know if doing it.
I don't know.
Okay, is that all, Gene?
That's right on the water.
Okay. Does anybody else have anything they would like to bring up on these items?
With Gene,
Yeah, with Gene, or?
oh, yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Just on that, on our maps, water meter maps, updated, all those maps updated.
Yes, well, me and Pam were going through them and, you know, she was marking meters. And if I noticed they should have been on this side, I told her and we moved them. And we've gone through and I've marked, penciled in some lines that I've dug up and found. You know, if I run across it, then we know it on the map. If we haven't, then I can't, you know, I can't add something if I don't know it. So, at the best of my ability or knowledge, it has been penciled in here lately. So, and Pam's been trying to update the meters as we go too. So,
Because that's all Johnny will have to go off of,
right.
isn't that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Like I say, when we dig them up, we mark them, and if we don't know, we'll see them on the map.
Yes, Ms. Bishop?
If I may change the subject for a moment?
Yes.
Okay, so originally in the agenda, I had a conditional use permit. However, I had no instructions on how to do one. Again, this is the very first time I've had to do one of these. So I was kind of blind, and I did call CML, and I did call to try to get information. They kind of gave me guidance the best they could in the blind. Well, upon doing research, Mr. Wigginson contacted him and said, this, you have to have a public hearing, blah, blah, blah. Went back, found more additions to the, ordinance that that I didn't see when I was first doing my research, initial research. So then I had to contact TML and ask them, do we have to have a public hearing for this conditional use permit? And she said, yes, you do. But she said, she said, let me ask you a question, and I was like, what's that? She says, was there a mobile home on the property before the rezoning ordinance came in place? And I said, to my knowledge, yes. She said, y'all should have a non-conforming ordinance.
We have that.
And I said, we do. And so I sent it to Christy Drake. Christy said he doesn't have to have a special conditional permit because the 17101 ordinance covers Gene, so he can have the mobile home. He can replace his existing mobile home with a new or better mobile home. So when you get to that item, you can just let that item be dead. It's not even, I'm sorry I have it on there, I'm sorry I didn't know all the facts. I learned a big lesson this week doing this research. And I have copies if y'all want to see it. Christy did tell me I had to get the confirmation from our city attorney, just because they can't tell us how to legally act. So I did contact our legal attorney, and he or she, Neil Perkle advised or sent it over to Neil Perkle forwarded over to Stephanie Schwab, and then Stephanie Schwab said yes, that they can put a mobile home there under section 17-101 ordinance.
So what it amounts to is he doesn't even need a permit.
He doesn't have to do anything.
Doesn't have to do anything.
Well, I'll answer any questions anybody's got.
Right.
All right, Mr. Thomas.
If he had a mobile home there before,
Lives
and
in
we didn't
one.
have an ordinance, he'd been out of compliance all these years. So he's been in compliance all these years, so to me, it wasn't a big deal. Either we're gonna have to make him move a mobile home or pass an ordinance that he could have one there to start with. Thank you.
And that,
Yes.
you know, that's why I'm trying to do everything legal.
Yeah.
Where y'all are aware, I'm not trying to keep anything behind anybody's
Yeah.
back. If you got a question, ask me, come to the house, whatever. You know, I'm just trying to make it better for us living.
Just go ahead and do what you gotta do, just so you're in compliance, of course, with the other, like you gotta have the underpinning. You're gonna do all that.
You know, I mean, anybody come to the house,
Yeah.
all we're sitting by, he knows what it looks like
Yeah.
now. We're gonna move it up,
Been there many
Yeah.
times.
and hopefully it looks up.
Go ahead. I'll
You
say
gonna
go
move it
ahead.
up the front of your
Yes.
property, is that
Well,
what?
we're gonna put it further back,
Back,
yeah, 'cause
okay.
where our house
We
is
can't get
now.
insurance,
We
because
got a
it's
creek
so
right
close
there.
to the creek, and they won't insure
Too
it for fear that it's gonna
Yeah.
fall in.
Yeah.
So we wanna get up on top of the hill further away.
Okay. Mr. Bishop,
So, piggybacking off what Gene just said, we were trying to make sure, as the city administrator and him being an employee, we were trying to make sure that we were doing it right.
exactly.
So we didn't wanna, you know, I
We're
didn't,
getting favors.
yeah, I don't want nobody to think, well, Sonia let that slide because it's Gene or whatever. It's just better to put it out there. But I learned a lot, having to do this research. So
Everything-
somebody else comes out and says it now, I know what the rules are.
Everything is within the law, and any requirements the city has, he's fulfilling, so there's no problem, and no special treatment or
Right,
nothing.
and that's why I didn't want any, that's why I
Exactly,
come down.
I understand that. Yes, I do.
proud of you too, both of you.
Yeah.
I have
Good. Okay,
I'm sorry,
go ahead.
it's off the record.
No, go ahead.
Well, this is just a preliminary.
Yeah,
I just wanna know why you didn't continue that bicycle fence down the front.
That's not mine.
I know it.
that is pretty, isn't it?
It's pretty different, I guarantee you that.
Out of order.
Okay.
Okay, now
Thank
what?
you.
Does anybody, I guess, anything else?
Anybody else wanna talk about anything on the agenda?
I don't.
Anything at
I'll
all?
wait for the agenda.
Well,
Oh, go ahead, Mark.
Go ahead.
some of these items, like, at the end of the agenda,
All of those are put on there by Mr. Wiggins except
okay,
number 12.
I was just gonna say, some of these, and then some of these items under Sonia's report,
Yes,
I mean, could we save time
yes, we could, but I just don't
Talking
know.
about them now?
by talking some of these things through, and,
Yes.
I mean, now, if it's something that you want to wait until the regular meeting, I was just gonna ask the question, are some of these things that could save us from having such a late night, if we could talk them through?
Yes, good idea. Yeah.
Okay, just a question, I don't know what the rest of the council thinks about it, but just a question.
Go ahead.
You wanna talk about start, Ms. Owens?
I wouldn't mind talking about that one about putting a certain amount of things on the agenda.
That's the one I put on there.
Number
And
12.
we can't talk about that?
Yeah, we can. Talk up loud.
Because I don't think we should have this many items on an agenda.
What I
Not for one
propose,
night.
what I propose, now this is just me and I don't have a vote. She has to make the agenda, and of course the mayor has a right to put something on there. Whatever has to go on there goes on there, and then maybe the council would be limited to say 1 or 2 items, and that's all.
Yeah.
Because these meetings have got to where some of them, it's after 9 o'clock when these meetings are over, and they start at 5. That's 4 hours, that's half a day. And we used to have meetings, most meetings, never went over an hour, unless it was really a big meeting. But, and another thing I'm proposing is that anybody that wants to put anything on the agenda, you know, the public can put anything they want, but they have to turn it in by 5 o'clock a week before the meeting. And I think that should apply to the council members too, and that way they have plenty of time to prepare the agenda and get it out on Friday so that you can have it over the weekend to look at it. And then it be posted, 72 consecutive hours before the meeting. That's the reason we had to cancel the last meeting. It had the typo was all it was, but it was 20 minutes after 5 before it was discovered, and the meeting had to be canceled. And we called and checked with the lawyer to be sure, and they said, yes, you cannot have the meeting. That's the reason I had to cancel that meeting, and that's the reason we're having this meeting tonight. But sometimes somebody calls at the last minute or 20 minutes before time to put it out, and, oh, I want this on there, I want this changed. It's a big deal to redo this agenda. How long does it take you to redo the agenda? Depending.
If I've already dumped it into PDF or, well, Kitchen County, if we've already put it in PDF, that means we have to pull it back, put it in Word, change it in Word, and change it to PDF. It opens up a lot of room for mistakes. That's what happened with this last agenda. Pam and I were working on it, and somehow the date got flipped.
Right.
We're going back and forth between converting it to files, because before I shut off the website, it has to be PDF.
But the council
But
can,
it's time consuming to create.
yes, it is, and sometimes you just don't know, that's how you make mistakes.
And then you're answering phone calls, and you're dealing with customers, and you're,
But the
dealing with all that.
council tonight, the council can, make a motion, second, and vote to put a limit on how many items a council member can put on the agenda, and put a time limit to turn that in, if y'all wanna vote that way. The council can legally do that, right? Okay, Mr. Wiggins, you,
Mr. Robert had his hand up before I did.
okay, you first, Robert?
Yes, sir, on the agenda items under the administrative report, and then the council, plus the mayor put on, some of these things are duplicate, and they will be dispensed, of what I can understand or concern is, some of these were follow-up items that, administrator put on besides the council member or the mayor. Now, my experiences, I've been here 6 months or however long it's been, when the council members or the mayor or anybody else puts thing on there, it seems like all the council members' agenda items gets pushed down to the bottom. Administrators' things get pushed to the top. Yeah. That's the reason the agenda looks long, and I'm not,
It
yes,
wouldn't
sir, wait a
matter,
minute.
it wouldn't matter if
I'm
they
not
were there.
finished.
Well, I am talking. It doesn't matter where you put them, they're here. Whether they're at the end, or in the middle, or at the first, what difference does that make?
Well, sometimes it's duplicated, is what I'm saying. That's the reason I'm
Yes,
pointing.
exactly, nearly
I
every one
got
of
it.
these are duplicated.
I got it. But,
And it's silly to have all of these items on this agenda, and most of this stuff, it just needs a little simple phone call with that, but now we want to come and talk and talk and talk
But-
and talk.
nobody's limiting anybody else to put things on there. I can't see that the council ought to be limited to what they want
I
to put.
said the council may, if they so
No.
decide, three of them decide to limit it legally, they can do that.
I heard that when you first stated it, Mr. Mayor, that you said the council ought to be limited on the number of items you put on there.
Yes, if the council votes.
Well, I understand that.
That's reading it
I
on here.
understand that.
So the council can vote on it.
I'm finished, sir. Thank you.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Now, Mr. Wiggins.
Okay. I don't think it should be any limitations on what the council can put on there, and here's why. Everything, every item that any council member puts on there, that council member deems important, okay? And so, some of these items I put on here, like today, for this meeting, the items I put on there were follow-up items from the past meetings that didn't get handled, okay? So I went back and I put them on there. Now, at the last meeting that was canceled due to the typo, that date was arbitrarily on the air, changed for no reason, whatever, then on that particular meeting, Ms. Bishop she wasn't gonna have anything. But now she come back and she put some of these things on there that I already had on there, okay? So that's probably some of the reason for the duplication, but I will never, ever go for limiting a council member to so many, one or two items, and then that they have to have it in by Friday, by, a week ahead of time, or a week ahead of time.
Okay.
I believe that, the council, I've always had mine in. I might have got mine in on a Sunday. I've never put mine in on a Monday, never. If I have, prove it to me. And most of the time, I send mine in on a Thursday. I probably put more items on here than anybody. I'll admit that. I'm not afraid to admit it. And I think it's a good thing. But, there again, as long as I have them in 72 hours, that's the law for the council, and that's our ordinance. Now, I do agree that they need to be in ample time in order for them to be put out within that 72 hours, so I would say they need to be in by noon, no later than noon on that Monday. Now, Ms. Bishop says that, we've got to go back in, and I want to get the council, first off, I want to get the agenda out and get the, council's packet to them on Friday. So they have time to look. I agree with that, but that don't mean she has to post it on the website then, and that way creating a change. She could wait, and if you have everything correct on that agenda, everything is correct, like it should be, then if I put 3 items on there on Monday, that's the only 3 items that you'll have to deal with. Just those 3 only. And you know what, I'm not a computer guru, but I can go from a Word document and go back to PDF, and no, it don't take that long. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Wiggins, that's your opinion. Of course, we gotta remember, your opinion is you put anything you want to, and his, I think, is about the same, but there's 3 other council members here, that if they vote to put a limit on it, you will be limited. You understand that?
I think everybody understands that, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, all right, good.
Yeah.
Anybody else got anything to say about it?
Yeah, I do, Mr. Mayor. I would also, not want to limit the number of items.
Okay.
Now, here's where I'm coming from, and I hope everybody, number one, and I believe everybody on this council would agree with what I'm gonna say. I know we have to timeline by law to get an agenda out. I send you an agenda item. I'm gonna send it to you as early as I can. I think every one of us is gonna do the same thing. But if something comes up, like over a weekend, like, I mean, ideally not on a Monday, but on a weekend or sometime after Friday. You know, and it's considered by the individual council person that they think it is worthy of our time, and it's, in terms of the citizens, it's important. So if every single one of us ran for this office, and every single one of us have the same goal, and that is to serve the citizens, and we all individually translate how we're gonna do that. Some of us are more involved. They are willing to give more of their time than others. And so they're more knowledgeable of things that are going on. I mean, some of the things, you know, were new to me on this agenda, first time I've heard about them. But anyway, long story short, I will just make everybody up here promise, and I would think we'd all agree with it. If we think it's important, we don't need to be limited to what we can try to get on the agenda. And then as far as the timeline goes, I think that everybody, me included, is gonna try to get it to you as early as we possibly can. But if a change, if something comes up, we don't need to have our hands tied by a resolution that blocks us from doing that. And so anyway, but having said all that, the number one thing I want to say is you will never hear me criticize another council member for the way that they translate how they feel like this job needs to be done. And if any one of us are guilty of that, then I think that's kind of crossing the line of mutual respect. So, anyway, those are my reasons for it, and I understand, Mr. Mayor, where you're coming from. The last thing I want to do is sit at a 3 or 4 hour meeting, very last thing. I've got a lot of other places I'd rather be with my time. But I ran for this job, and I ran because I knew I was gonna have to work and give up my time. So, that's all I'd like to say about it.
Amen.
Okay, Sonia,
First off, I wanna
you're
address
next.
Mr. Talbot. Whenever I make the agenda, it's nothing, I'm not saying, oh, I'm better than anybody, when I put me up there, is when I make the agenda, if you notice, I moved where the police department is, I moved where things are. I can put my stuff at the very end, I'm not offended by that, but when I'm doing the agenda, and most times, I'm just putting stuff in there. Mr. Wiggins, the reason it wasn't on there before was I haven't done a, city administrator's report, and I won't be here on the 10th. So I was like, well, I'm not gonna be here the 10th to do a city administrator's report, and I think you had asked me about that, why there hasn't been a city administrator's report or something, somebody asked me about it. So I felt like I needed to put it on this meeting to update you on a few things that I can just tell y'all now, it's nothing really got done on. But that's why it's on there now, because I was like, oh, yeah, I got that class that I'm gonna be in on the 10th through the 14th.
But you was gonna be here at the last meeting too, the 27th, when it got canceled.
But then I realized,
You're out of order.
Excuse me.
Go ahead.
I realized that there were things that I needed to update y'all on, like, for one thing, the culvert broke on Franklin. I wanted to give y'all an update on that. There was a few things I needed to update on you, and I just need to ask questions. So I had some things, and then I had the driveway thing on here for I'd gotten 2 of the bids, sealed bids, so I put that on there to see if y'all wanted to do that tonight. Y'all don't have to do it, it's just, this is the stuff that I felt like I needed to tell you. The same reason you felt you needed to add 8 items on the agenda, I felt I needed to give y'all an update on my stuff.
Okay.
I wasn't trying to do anything, I mean, I'm trying to look out for the citizens the same way you guys are. And I'm trying to update everybody the same way you all are.
All right. Ms. Owens?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I agree with, you know, the items, I think we should be able to put the items we want on there as long as it pertains to city business. You know, not personal items against somebody on the council or somebody out there or somewhere. It needs to be city business.
Anything important can go on there, I understand that, but some of this stuff down here should not even be on here. It's just, stuff that shouldn't be on, at council meeting.
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Just have to be recognized.
All right.
On the, your report as far as now in the last meetings, you left to go the 5th, you get back to the 13th, and you got back to work one day and you could 6th. So there wasn't much chance for you to give a report anyhow.
Right.
True?
True.
So I understand this.
Yes, I was just gonna,
It is also, it's a culvert, not a culvert.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Didn't mean to pick on you.
I'm a
Typo.
Carolina girl,
That's
I
close.
say it differently.
What's that?
yeah, the whole, several months ago, I don't know exactly what meeting it was, but I was the councilman that offered up that we needed a time during our meetings where we can get updated on what's going on in the city.
Yes, you did.
And the whole purpose of that was to give you the opportunity and give us the opportunity to understand things that are going on in the city that the council may need to know about, but it's not a action item, okay? It's just an update. It's a briefing. It's a follow-up. It's a follow-through. But what I had hoped for there was that these items like we see here tonight, and don't mean to be disrespectful at all, Mr. Mayor, but I can't find one that I don't think is not worthy of our time on here.
Well,
And so,
I can fix one out for you.
okay, wait, give me a chance.
Sure,
Okay?
opinion.
Yeah, but anyway, I think that's an opportunity for us that we can have an exchange. Now, we have to be careful during your report, and you are, and we're trying to do the same thing. If we don't have it on this agenda, we can't talk about it. And every one of us are limited by that. I don't agree with it, and I think there's other municipals in and around us. They have a way to do that. They don't have to put 20 things on the agenda. Somehow or another, they umbrella it under a administrator's report. And this is cumbersome, and it is intimidating when anybody looks at it and says, oh my gosh, you know. But some of these are follow-up questions. What's the status on this? To take 2 or 3 minutes to discuss, and they are city business.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my opinion, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. Let's take item number 20, for instance. Just a minute. Council to discuss, consider, and possibly take action on amending ordinances, section so-and-so, such and such, location, city hall. That's already covered and you're moving the city hall. The rest of this sentence, smoking prohibited in municipal buildings. Well, there is an ordinance already that was passed in 1995, I believe, that prohibits smoking or use of tobacco. There's also a state law that says you cannot use tobacco or smoke in public buildings. And now somebody, he did, took the time out to go back and dig through and find all of this stuff, and now he wants to amend that. I think he wants to amend it probably to say that you can't use these vapor things, what do you call them, vaping or whatever it is. Well, nobody has smoked in this building. I've been here going on 11 years. Nobody has ever smoked here. The only last person I saw using tobacco is Mr. Wiggins there. When his wife was on the council, he would come to me and he sat on the very front row, front chair, with a cigar butt hanging out of his mouth.
Never did smoke.
You didn't smoke it, but you were using tobacco.
It
You were
said
violating.
smoking.
No, it said smoking
No,
or
it
use
said
of
smoking.
tobacco. Well, the state law says tobacco. The state law supersedes the city ordinance.
The state law you're talking about, Mr. Mayor, that's in there and that Sonia sent is incorrect. If you'll read that law, it doesn't pertain, it pertains to schools. Yes, ma'am. the email that you sent with the
Well,
penal
the
code,
thing about it is,
Read it.
Copied and pasted.
read it.
just a minute, I'm talking.
But you didn't read it before you said it.
You're out of order again, Wiggins. Well, I was talking. And then what you wanna do is just make a big deal. Why don't you spend the time that you spent doing all of that, researching, thinking up, why don't you spend that time doing something productive for the city? Instead of wasting your time. And, nobody smokes in this building, and everybody knows. So why do you wanna bring all this up and take up all the time at these meetings for stuff like this? I mean, it's, silly to me that you would do this. You just wanna talk and change something. And you make mountains out of molehills on everything you come up with. All right, you sleep.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, first off, I have every right to put anything I want to on there. And just like you told me a while ago about about people voting on how many items they put on the agenda, we'll vote on this later.
Yes, we will.
And you don't get a vote.
I sure don't, I know that.
Okay, but here's the thing, smoking matters. Now, the state law that she has printed does not pertain to municipalities. Now, all I'm wanting to do is, in our ordinance stated, if you read what I had and sent out, that Sonia sent too, it showed the location that no smoking is to be done in the city municipal building located at 143 Wilcox. All I'm trying to do is change that because we're changing our location. Now, and we can change it to, I recommend changing it to 143 and 144 Wilcox, along with some other recommendations that I'm gonna put on there. And yes, sir, vaping is one of them. Smoking, defining it. And I think that's very important. It might not be to you, but the people that affects because you smoke. But the people that smoking affects, it does matter. And we're trying to, the non-smoker has rights.
Maybe they'd like to wear a mask. And as far as this, what you're saying about the building, that's already on the agenda tonight. To the location of the city hall from 143 to 144, and that ordinance would follow it.
Yes, that
So
is
you don't
on
have
there.
to redo it.
That is on there. I wasn't for sure if because there's a section A and a B on there. So I wasn't for sure if the, P.O. box number of the address was correct on there.
Okay, thank you.
I've been here since 1983, in this building.
Go ahead,
I've never
Ms.
seen anybody smoke.
Bishop, do you have something to say?
First off, smoking thing, I already realized my stuff coincides with a lot of Mr. Wiggins' stuff. So I was gonna suggest, my stuff is gonna go in alliance. The items that I put on the agenda will go with Mr. Wiggins, like, y'all can vote on changes of location, changes of smoking, all in one motion to alleviate time. Also, when I sent out that literature, that was just for notes for y'all's FYI. It was something I found I thought y'all might find interesting. I wasn't saying this is the law for the city of Bruceville-Eddy or any city. It was merely just notes. If I find notes, I'm gonna send it out. I mean, I don't know what the problem is. Seems like I've done something, but I mean, I don't know. It's like I'm darned if I do and I'm darned if I don't. I send you notes, it's not right. I don't send you notes, I'm not right. So I just want some direction. What am I supposed to do?
Good job.
Gene, you have something to say?
Is there
Oh, you do.
ordinance with how far to smoke from the city building?
No.
So, I do have that, on my recommendation, on my amendment, and I can read that amendment.
No, I mean, my question was, I say, if y'all are gonna go through with just one building, do all the city buildings and be done with it.
Don't we just have, do we don't just have two?
No, we've got the water department, we've got the police department, we've got here, we've got well sites, you know, y'all can just combine all the city buildings into that, I'm thinking.
Okay.
And then say, my guys smoke, okay, y'all gotta smoke outside the fence, you see what I'm saying?
Well, okay.
Because none of them smoke in the trucks.
Jesus
I'm
Christ.
sorry.
Okay, let me ask you if this would clear it up. If we just said there will be no smoking in the Bruceville-Eddy municipal buildings, plural.
City-owned buildings,
Huh?
yes.
Wouldn't that cover it? And
Yeah.
then go, my brother, I was gonna say, outdoor smoking must not interfere with non-smokers' rights to clean air as they enter and leave the building.
Amen.
Well,
So that means somebody cannot sit right out there at that door and smoke,
right, so,
and somebody gonna come in and come out, and then they're gonna have to wade through the smoke to get in or
exactly,
out.
and that's why I'm thinking,
Good
maybe
idea.
no smoking within so many feet of the entrances or the building.
Well, if we just say must not interfere with the non-smokers' rights to clean air as they enter and leave the building.
Yeah, but to a smoker, say I'm a smoker, stand out there smoking. I don't care about clean air,
Yeah.
you know, I'm just trying to help
Okay.
eliminate this problem, and so this don't drag out, is, you know, 50 feet from the door, 20 feet from the door, no smoking within 20 feet from the door.
I agree with him.
This person is away from the entrance.
You didn't get recognized, you know that?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
All right, go
Could
ahead.
we
Fair
not put
play.
it, could we not put it in there like, it's not on the property that belongs to the city, period? And they, you know, that would be the streets too, though, wouldn't it? That would include streets, wouldn't it?
That's,
Yeah,
that's
okay, so I guess
a
just
whole
the,
other deal.
yeah, so I guess just within 12 feet of the building, of a building or
20
something like
feet.
that, 20 foot?
Hell, listen, minor.
Yeah.
Ms. Bishop, you got something to say?
Yes, I do. You gotta be very careful when you start making rules, ordinances, resolutions that restrict. Because just like Mr. Wiggins is saying, I'm a non-smoker. I also have damaged lungs and I have reasons that I can't be around smoke, okay? I need to be protected, like Mr. Wiggins said, but Mr. Bass, Mr. Talbot, anyone else who smokes, those people also have rights. So if you discriminate against no smoking on city property, someone can contest that. I'm not saying they would, but it can cause some issues. So you don't want to say completely ban smoking on city property. However, I am in agreement with Gene. Most cities you go to will have a sign or something saying no smoking within entrances or exits of the building within 50 feet. And what that does is it limits so that that person coming in or out. Say you have a citizen that has oxygen or that has severe emphysema, any kind of respiratory problem. You want to alleviate them not having to walk through smoke to get back to their car.
Okay. Okay, Ms.
Yeah,
Owens.
could we not, like, have sign up, because I see them at other city places, they have restricted areas for smokers. Like they have a little setup there with a butt can or whatever. Yeah, you know, have a butt can or something put up for them, say this is the, because at work, none of my employees that smoke can't smoke in front of the building. They have to go to the back of the building in a certain area.
Well, when you, Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
okay, the only thing is, Ms. Owens, when you do that, you have a designated smoking area. Now, you've got to put some, cigarette butt cans out there, and maybe a bench or something, and then they'll want the bench covered, things of that, you know, they'll want that. If we just, I'm just trying to make it simple, but we can say within 20 feet of the entrance to the building. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't have thought about that, I had another question about it. When you're finished.
Well, you ask the question, then we'll adjourn, because we gotta have a break before the meeting. Go ahead.
Okay, when we have an ordinance, like on this particular ordinance, we have a reference, to a state code that's shown on there. And so, do we have to, I mean, if we have an ordinance, that's the city of Bruceville-Eddy ordinance, do we have to state some state code as the means of enforcement or the grounds for enforcement? Or can it not just stand on its own as an ordinance that makes it illegal in the, here in the, you see what I'm saying? Because if you go into that code, it does not reference municipal buildings. And so, because it doesn't, I'm saying, if we had some kook who wanted to take us to task over it, that we would lose. We would lose. But that's why I'm saying, if we don't have to identify a state code or some, something, state law or whatever, then let's let it stand on its own. That's how I would change it. Once these changes are made, I would not reference us. I mean, I'm just asking if we have to. If we don't, my idea would be, let's just let.
That'd be the answer from the attorney, I'm sure.
Okay, okay.
Okay, let's, why don't we break, because we're supposed to have a break. It's 6:15. This workshop is adjourned. I'm going outside and smoke.
Me too.
Oh.
That's all. Yeah, that's all.
Is it on?
That should be good.
Okay. Okay. Hello, everybody. This is Conley Bass again. It's been properly noticed that there would be a meeting of the Bruceville-Eddy City Council, on June the 3rd, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. And it's now 6:30 p.m. And this, session of the council is now in session.
Scared me.
This meeting is open to the public, but it's also being, a teleconference meeting for those people who don't want to come out due to the COVID. So if that's the case, you can dial 1-646-749-3335. Their access code is 936-541-557. Please, mute your phones. I'd like to, thank everyone for coming tonight that's here. This meeting is open to the public, and I'd like to thank everyone listening in on the telephone. And, I'm gonna say before we start, this meeting is at 143 Wilcox Drive in the old City Hall. But hopefully tonight, the council will pass a resolution moving the location to City Hall across the street to 144 Wilcox Drive, and our next meeting will be over there. The law requires the city to, have a specified location for their meetings to be announced before the meetings. And the only way we can move it across there is to have a resolution tonight to do so, which I hope they will pass. Before we get into the meeting, I'd like everyone to please stand for a prayer by Ms. Owens, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Our Heavenly Father, thank you for giving us this day. Lord, I want to say a special prayer for some citizens of Bruceville-Eddy, which in the past week and a half, that we've had 5 deaths in our small community. And I want to pray for those families that are suffering and going through all this. I pray for all the other citizens in our community that are needing help and trying to understand what goes on at the city council meetings. That we are up here trying to work for them, Lord, and with your help and guidance that we will continue to keep our heads and make sure that we take care of everyone. Lord God, thank you for our city administrators, our city workers, our mayor, the city council members, and for everyone here, Lord. We do know, Lord, without you that we would have nothing. So and I pray for everything in the name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. For the roll call tonight, all 5 council members are present. The mayor's here, city engineer, city secretary, city administrator, chief of police, and our water department supervisor, Gene Sprice, and several guests. Anyone who is listening in, has the right to email the city secretary before the meeting, and anything that they send in will be read at the meeting by the city secretary. Pamela, do you have anything from sending in emails?
No, sir.
All right, thank you. And also, anyone here attending can fill out a form before the meeting to speak to the council about anything that is not on the agenda. Do you have any people signed in to speak tonight?
No, sir.
All right, thank you. Item number 3 on the agenda is Police Chief Dorsey, council to discuss, consider, and possibly take action approving recreational vehicle ordinance number 052021. And ordinance enforcement report also. Chief, you want to do?
Good evening, everybody.
Hello.
Good to see all of y'all. I have been working on a recreational vehicle ordinance. I did look at the city of Moody, Lorena, and Troy kind of as a template to kind of put together one that I think will suit us as far as the enforcement side of it. The ordinance that I am proposing is several pages long, but the purpose of it is to allow the temporary placement of a recreational vehicle while protecting the environmental, aesthetic, and quality of life values of the city of Bruceville-Eddy. And the article regulates the placement of an RV outside of an approved RV park. The establishment of reasonable regulations and limitations for the use of recreational vehicles and travel trailers within the city will serve to prevent deteriorating property conditions upon private property which will damage the public welfare, property values, economy, and quality of life within the city. And the regulations of the use of recreational vehicles and travel trailers for residential purposes within the city will afford protections for the environment of the city and the health and safety and welfare of the citizens of the city of Bruceville-Eddy. That's kind of the main purpose of the ordinance. In section 2, it just gives the definition of recreational vehicle and travel trailer. Then it goes on with some other definitions related to this ordinance. In section 3, it talks about kind of the rules and things that have to be abided by, and one including that all temporary camping vehicles shall be maintained in roadworthy condition. And the retention of wheels have to be on there, and if they are removed no more than 10 days. And it talks about guidelines for the holding tank, for the storage of sewage and auxiliary containers. It talks about illegal sewage discharge. In section 4, it talks about I was using the other cities kind of see what they had, but it talks about the fine and the penalties, and that's something that we can change and modify. I just used what the other cities, kind of what they had. And then down in zoning, it talks about the different districts and the time frame. There was something brought to my attention that I agree with. In my proposed ordinance, it talked about a time limit not to exceed 30 days, but I'd be more than willing to bump that up to 45. And the purpose of that would be, you know, if someone has a recreational vehicle, you know, on their property, you know, they have that right. But if it exceeds, like if someone's staying there temporarily, or they have family visiting, or, you know, emergency or exigent circumstances, then they could extend that out past 45 days. We just ask that the city be notified, and that way we're all on the same page and have something in writing to show that extension's been given. But that is something I'm more than willing to do, and whatever we can change it to better suit our citizens and their needs. But this whole ordinance is mainly geared to, you know, there are some RVs currently that are being used for permanent housing, and, you know, more than 45 days, and, there's some things that aren't being adhered to, and potential, environmental and other things that are being affected.
Yes, go ahead. He has a question.
Really, it's a statement more than that. I had read all the other cities and you came and talked to me, did you not?
Yes, sir.
And we talked about this. And I think what you put together is well done, and 45 days, I think, because there's always an unusual and extenuating circumstance or an emergency. Somebody's traveling from overseas and they come to visit, or you got a sick parent or something, you come in taking cancer treatment like Ronald McDonald has or something. But if it's after the 45 days, they would need to come to the city and get a waiver and approval with some kind of deadline. So I think you've done your due diligence, and I appreciate what you've done.
Yes, Mr. Wiggins?
On that note there about the, extenuating circumstances and the extension, I don't see anything in it for an extension. That's wrote in this.
Yes, sir. We discussed that part of it after I submitted this one, so we can go back and I can add that in.
Amend it?
Yes,
Okay.
sir. I'll amend it, and I can add that in there and kind of define, give some examples of exigent or emergency situations. Of course, there may be some that aren't listed, but, I can definitely give some examples.
Well, on the finish, on that section 3B, according to that, and you can't put a travel trailer RV on any lot or parcel of land with the intent that any person shall reside in or occupy unless a primary residence exists. So let's say I buy a lot down there on 4th Street where those empty lots are for sale, and I'm gonna build me a house, but I wanna live in that travel trailer while I'm building my house. I won't be able to do this with this, the way it's wrote. First off, there's no primary residence there. Second off, you got a 30-day time limit, for a calendar year. Not to exceed 30 days. I know you talked about changing it to 45, but there's no way you can build a house in 45 days. So, to me, I'm thinking maybe 6 months. For that, I mean, I hate to tie somebody down.
Well, I think that would come in a we're extenuating circumstance.
That brings
Well,
up a good point.
If we had the 6 months on there, I mean, and the reason I say that, because folks, there's people out here that's in dire need, and maybe their family's trying to help them out. And they're living in a travel trailer, that's their home. And they're living there next to maybe their parents or something, they're helping them out. And that's their home.
Yeah.
And we're gonna say that you can only stay 30 days in the calendar year and kick you out. Well, I don't think that's right. And second is, even if there wasn't somebody living there, if my kids, grandkids wanna come stay with me, well, time I add up over the year, how many times they'll come, then that's more than 30 days and stay. Time you add up Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving, spring break, and during the summer, that's gonna be more than 30 days.
It's a continuous or addition over the year.
What about
I was thinking
one
one
problem
time.
with that, Mr. Wiggins? What about septic service? I mean, if they live that long without septic, what?
Well, I mean, here's the thing about septic, Mr. Mayor, as you know, you can have that septic, and some places might have it, where you can have it where it's set up like in some trailer parks you go to.
Yeah.
You can hook up the septic right there, and it goes into it. Or, maybe you don't have that ability, but what you do have, and I have a travel trailer, and I have a probably 45-gallon, portable tank that you can dump your holding tank in, and you take that over there, and you can dump it in your, septic, provided you have to have the facility to dump it in there.
Yes.
And I don't think that's no problem to put that in there.
No.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, because, all right, for example, I'm gonna use me because I have one. And, my brother stays in it during the day, but he goes inside to use the bathroom, he goes inside to shower, but he stays out there every day, every day. He cook, you know, I cook the food, he comes in the house to eat, but that's his man cave. He's there, but he comes in to use the bathroom and to take a shower.
I mean, that's
and
why
does
he
his
sleeps
laundry.
there.
But
Yeah.
that's his place, you know? That's just where he goes out during the day. He don't even sleep there at night, you know, but that's his daytime
But he
thing.
sleeps in the
Because he
house.
don't like my poodles.
He sleeps
So,
in the house, does
He sleeps in the house
Well,
at
yeah.
night, but he stays out there all day long.
Nothing wrong with that.
Okay.
I think we could put something in the ordinance to address when someone, you know, owns a piece of land and they plan on building a house, you know, we can address that and put something in there that, you know, once they finish building, then, you know, they'll transition into that residence. And if they're, you know, even though there's not a primary residence, if the property owner is there, you know, it's their land, you know, they'll, you know, be deeded to them, so we can.
The reason I say that, out on my street, a person did just that, lived in the camper until he built his house, and it was way over a year. He did not have any septic. It just went right out on the ground, and you couldn't stay out in your backyard in the
breaking the law.
summertime. Yes, he was. That's what I'm talking about.
Right, yes, sir, yes.
Okay.
And now think about
We have stuff in place to take care of that now.
Yeah,
That's sad to say.
when people are visiting, I guess what I'm looking more towards is, you know, if they come and go throughout the year, you know, maybe more than 30 or 45 days,
Yeah.
but we're just, I think, more talking about, you know, 45 consecutive days.
Yes,
You know, if they're there 45 days straight,
yes.
and then they would have to, you know, get an exemption.
All right. Gene, did you have something that you wanted to say?
Yes, the only issue I have with, maybe with that, is you can only have one resident per water meter. Yes,
We're addressing that issue now. That's not the case.
okay,
I know what to,
okay.
Okay.
My addition, if you're gonna look at doing some revision on it, my hope would be that we could make some kind of allowance for homesteads, on acreage. I think the intent, besides the sewage, control and that kind of thing, the intent here, I believe, is to protect property values in residential neighborhoods. So I would like, if we could, but like, I looked at, you know, I'm zoned residential on my property. Well, if I've got a RV, which I don't, but, if I've got it properly, you know, in, the holding tank, is, you know, kept in good order, and someone came to reside in the travel trailer for a few months or over the summer, that's not gonna happen in my house, but because I'm on acreage, nobody'd ever know I had a travel trailer, and I wouldn't be affecting anybody's property values anywhere. And then, of course, my neighbor is getting ready to do a remodel, and he is going to, he's already purchased an RV, and he expects his remodel, he will have to move out of his house, but he'll have his trailer there for, you know, sleeping and, you know, staying overnight. He's got livestock, you know, so he has to be there. So, in his case, I would hope that we would have, specific, relief for someone in that position that's gonna do a remodel, and it does meet the requirement that there's already a residence on there, but he sits on 100 acres. And so that's all I'm saying is, to me, this is targeted at, in terms of property values being respected and maintained. Just the only issue, I think, is just make certain that the RV is in good working condition and everything is as it should be. And if they meet that criteria, then to me, that would be the only criteria they should have to
I think
meet.
what Mr. Williams talking about is the extenuating circumstances.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna get them all the time.
Yeah, I just think we gotta put
You gotta push it.
you gotta put it down to, reduce it to writing, I think, of what we're talking about
Okay,
here.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Wiggins.
Yes, sir, I'd just like to make a motion that we table this for now.
A second. Until he can come up with.
Motion is made and seconded to table item number 3. All in favor? 5 yeas. Also, Mr. Darcy, you have item B, ordinance enforcement report. Did you want to do that
Yes,
too?
sir.
Go ahead.
On my report, it's just an updated list of the open cases, violations that we have. It, I think my copy may be a few days newer than what y'all have, but as of right now, there's 50 open cases, and I've issued 4 citations so far.
How many citations?
4.
4?
Yes, sir. There has been a lot of compliance. I know that more recently, I've sent out a lot of letters, and some of them being lost on, 35, like Espinosa Stone and some other places, and I've seen that they've been out and they're maintaining the property, and so there has been quite a bit of compliance, and then there has been a lot of people that have called in and have asked for more time as well. And I'm more than happy to give them time.
Are they working on it, making progress?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I would say more so than not, the good majority of folks are working on it. But this list is mainly just to, keep up, do follow-up and make sure things get taken care of.
Well, you're working on it. Pretty good.
But
Thank you.
I have seen a lot of progress.
Okay, good. Yeah, but there's a need for progress. Yeah. Some of
I
those
think we're
forms-
moving it. We're
Okay.
moving in the right
All right.
direction.
Okay, thank you. Yes,
Can I go back to the number A again on the ordinance? Could,
no, we've already done that.
Oh.
We've already moving on.
together and, but you.
Well, I didn't see it. We got to move on. We'll be here all night. Thank you. All right. Is that all?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
We appreciate you. Item number 4, city engineer report.
Thank you, Mayor. Item A on mine is, council discussion, do you consider passing a meter moratorium? And I'm gonna stop right there. And I have earlier volunteered to, write a moratorium that applies to the area primarily in Falls County, where we don't have, the city does not have the capacity to add meters, and there's some improvements that need to be made. It would be specifically for that. If the council is okay with it, then and authorizes me to, then I'll, prepare a moratorium and submit it for your consideration.
Okay.
I'll so make that motion.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded to, allow, yes,
You need to say what your motion's gonna be.
What did he say?
you need what?
You need to stay with it.
The motion, what I understand is the motion would be that the engineer is authorized to prepare a moratorium,
For Falls County.
For Falls County.
A water meter moratorium for Falls County and submit it for council's consideration.
We can discuss that now.
Good.
Now you can discuss.
Motion stands as.
Okay, all in favor?
Gotta have a second. Oh, she's-
Got a second.
Okay, I'm sorry.
All in favor? 5 yeas. Why don't you let me run this meeting? Be quiet, otherwise you're gonna change chairs and stuff.
No, I don't want to change the chair.
Okay,
I was trying to hit you, so.
well, I don't need it. Thank you.
Okay.
I'll do what I can.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Item B under my report.
Yeah.
Is regarding, hydraulic analysis and mapping update. And that's something that needs to be considered, and it will help identify specifically the locations in Falls County better than what we have now. And it'll just be up to the council to authorize that if they choose to or not.
So you're asking, let me get this clear, you want the council to approve, you conducting, hydraulic analysis and mapping update?
Yes, sir.
Okay, does anybody wanna, yes, Mr. Wiggins?
I was gonna ask questions, I mean,
Go ahead.
I know really the procedure is you're supposed to have a motion made and
I'll make a
seconded,
motion that we,
and before you can discuss
Okay.
it, but we kind of do that backwards,
All right.
but that's okay.
I stand
Whatever.
corrected, I'm not up on parliamentary procedure, but I will study up on it, and I will be
Well, that's
going
your job.
strictly
I can
by
make
the
a,
rules. Okay.
all right, I'll make a motion then that we approve the engineer's agreement for hydraulic analysis and mapping update.
It's gonna be a second.
No.
No second.
Okay, then there's no discussion?
No, motion dies for lack
Motion
of
dies.
second.
Okay.
Is that correct, Mr. Wiggins?
Trying to help Mr. Wiggins out.
Okay,
Sorry.
so the answer is no. Item C.
I don't think that one's really under my purview, but,
Yeah.
it was listed in my list, and that's just the council discuss and approve Mr. Gershon's letter to be emailed to Creekside Branch, which is Foster Branch Attorney, regarding the water easement for safety.
I think if I remember correctly, the main thing that you would probably want to talk about is the easement. The city was originally granted a, 20-foot easement, I think, and then they wanted to use that to share it with other utilities, and now our attorney, I think in this letter is saying, no, we've gotta have a private easement, what's the word for it?
Dedicated.
Yeah, we have to have a dedicated easement.
That's what I think the letter more or
And
less,
that's what the letter says.
I think.
I guess it's waiting on council approval to send
That's
that.
what you'd say.
If you agree with that, you think?
Oh, absolutely. I do.
Okay, that's what,
Absolutely, I agree with that.
Sonia addressed that.
Okay.
You wanna ask her?
here,
I
you
don't-
take it.
I'm just trying to-
Well, then, just be quiet.
I can't do that.
Well,
I'm a council member.
you're not supposed to
I wasn't out
talk
of order.
and
It was
interrupt this
discussion.
government
I was
meeting.
not.
You can't be quiet. You know. Why don't you move out there in the hall?
I'm not gonna do that.
Well, okay then. Miss, Bishop, is that more or less the gist of, Mr. Gershon's letter?
Yes, sir, that is the gist of the letter. However, since the letter was written, Foster Branch is, for whatever reason, they don't have the same attorney. So Mr. Gershon wants to know, do we want to forward the letter just directly to Foster Branch, since the attorneys are no longer there?
I want to,
Just a quick
okay.
quick question. So, Mr. Tabor, you're comfortable with the letter as it was put together? And I guess the information he had was very specific about the possible solutions to it. And were you involved in discussions with him on those possible solutions?
I was.
Okay.
And the big thing to me was the financial burden of an easement on the other side of the road was all to be borne by Creekside branches.
Great, okay. And then I guess we'll have to have them readdress the letter? Is that how we would, because I guess it'll go certified, is that how we'll send it?
Yes, sir, from my understanding from Mr. Gershon and his assistant attorney, is that they'll have to change the addressee of the letter, and then it'll just be to the CEO, the owners of Foster Branch,
Okay,
instead of those attorneys, because those attorneys like that are no longer there.
okay.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion that, we approve Mr. Gershon's letter to be mailed to Creekside Foster Branch Group.
You second it? Motion made and seconded, to approve, the mailing of Mr. Gershon's letter to the Creekside Ranch Foster Branch. All in favor? 5 yeas. Number 5, Water Department Report, Gene Sprouse.
Yes, sir. I gave y'all a copy of what we had, and that was the last 2 months, because I didn't get y'all one last month. But besides that, we have gotten the signs for Soul Circle that were discussed, and I've got the fire hydrant and all the parts for Soul Circle at Old Woody Road, just waiting on the weather. So the weather permits, I've already got line locates marked, so hopefully next Tuesday, Wednesday, we can move on that.
Okay.
I
Ms.
just had a
Owens.
question, Gene. I was looking here, there's 94 people in Bruceville-Eddy that had their water turned off.
Within the last 2 months,
In 2 months.
well, the last month, yes, because last month I think they did 40-something, and the month before it was quite a bit.
Okay, thank you.
But now, when we go out there, you know, we're gonna turn them off, we're gonna tag them, we're gonna, you know, zip tie them. Because if we go and turn 50 of them off a month, and we turn 20 of them back on, well, that's 30 of our padlocks are still in the ground, we gotta order more. So we zip tie them, but if they turn them back on, or they haven't paid in a length of time, the girls let us know, and I went out, done 10 or 12 Monday, just padlocked them, because they hadn't made an attempt. So if they stay off any length of time, then that's what we're gonna do.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Is that all? Thank you.
Yes.
Item number 6, council to discuss, consider and possibly take action on approving a conditional use permit for mobile home. This is what was talked about, and besides, you don't even need it. So we might as well just, skip this item 6. Item 7, council to discuss, review, and consider approving the final plat submitted by JBS Residential LLC on Old Moody Road and Alicia Lane. I think that's what this is.
Yeah.
That map.
Replatting those 2, acres, 2 lots.
Just
Yes.
quick question, I'm sorry.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the final plat submitted by JBS Residential, Old Moody Road, Michigan. Lots
I'll second it.
1 through 2, lot 1 through J.
Did you have something?
Just a quick question, it was the plat we saw, and Johnny's, Mr. Davis, note was that it was, 3 acres versus 5 acres, on the, north pin, the north property pin, and so is what we received is 3 acres correct, or is 5 acres correct?
3 acres is correct.
Okay, so I just wanted to know, so.
So the motion is made and seconded to approve the final plat. What the number is, I don't have the number here. It's from, JBS Residential LLC. All in favor? 5 yeas. Item 8, council to discuss, review, and take action to approve resolution number 2021-05-27, a resolution to amend ordinance section, 102.002, changing the location of council meetings to the new city hall at 144 Wilcox Drive. We have to do this in order to have meetings over there. It's just, moving from here over to there. Sonia?
Yes, sir, I would like to propose cancel that we take item 20, that was to discuss, consider possible take action on amending ordinance section 1.02.002, location of city hall, and section 1.02.003, or, 033, services of notices, and we combine those two together. If you got all mine.
This is the smoking, that includes the smoking part.
No.
No,
But it doesn't include the smoke part, I just want to combine those three things together in one motion, if y'all don't mind the shortening.
Okay.
It's up to Mr. Wiggum, it's this agenda item, if he doesn't mind.
Yes.
Okay, to clarify, that section on item number 20 that she talked about on, which I put on there was section 1.02.033, services notices. All we were gonna change was the location of 144 Wilcox Drive. That was all we were gonna amend, which is all we're gonna amend on this, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, at this time, I'd like to make a motion to accept, resolution number 2021-05-27. And also, in lines to amend section 1.02.033 of our ordinance, read 144 Wilcox Drive.
I'll second that.
It's 033 and not 002, is that what you said?
No, it's both of them.
Both of them.
Both of them?
Yes.
Okay. All right, motion made and seconded, to approve, ordinance section 1.02.002 and,
I'm not gonna take.
yeah.
You need to.
Oh, you got some?
Yes, I was just gonna ask, on that ordinance, is that gonna make it change for next month? Will it go into effect upon your approval tonight?
It's going into effect tonight.
Will the new city hall over there, will it be ADA compliant for us to hold
Yes.
a meeting there
Yes,
before next week?
yes. You have something in mind that's not in compliance?
No, I knew next
The
week
only
y'all were
thing-
having another meeting, and I.
Right now, the only thing that's not in compliance is somebody, I guess, stole the two, handicap parking signs that were over there. They can't find them anywhere, so I guess they're gone. And they've ordered some, but
Well, I'll be done.
it takes a month or more to get them in.
I knew something was different, but I didn't know what it was.
Yeah,
Thanks, Don.
so that's the only thing that's right. That's
They
the
didn't
only
want it to be in compliance, Mr. Mayor.
thing. Yeah, yes,
The other thing is, the parking is gonna have to be done over there for the ADA, so the parking out here was also gonna have to be done for ADA compliance. So the parking situation is the same in both buildings. That building is far more ADA compliant than this building.
yes,
Y'all will see that.
okay.
So did you just say that we have to have that done to be ADA compliant?
To be 100%, yes, sir.
Okay, so,
That's all we like is the two signs that they're ordered.
okay.
And the parking lot,
And the concrete,
Well,
it has to be.
In the
it has
parking
to
lot,
be-
what you
Yeah.
see.
the parking lot.
It has to be ample space for the van to the next car. I don't remember the footage off the top of my
It
head.
has to be pavement.
It has to be either concrete or pavement. It can't be like what we have outside here at this building. It can't be loose stone, it can't be cement, any of that stuff. It has to be solid.
Okay.
So,
Has nothing to do with.
yeah, just to follow the question, so to what extent are we at risk not being ADA compliant? As far as having any fines or, what's the law? I mean, are we taking chances?
To be honest, going off of what USDA had said the last time she was here, we were at more risk in this building because we should have had this building updated back in 96.
Okay.
So honestly, I would be lying to you if I gave you a number or gave you any kind of I don't know that stuff off the top of my
Yeah,
head.
I just don't know what the
But I mean,
penalty is if,
I don't think the risks are greater than, either way. I mean, this building's non-compliant, if you stay here.
okay,
That building, we need to get the parking lot finished for it not to be.
okay. Got it, that answers my question.
Okay, so, I'm getting now, the motion was made and seconded, to approve resolution number 2021-05-27, and a resolution to amend the ordinance section 1.02.033, that right?
Zero.
Yes.
Okay, all in favor? 5 yeas. Item 9, consent agenda. Council to discuss, review, and consider approving the minutes from the May 13, 2021 council meeting.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes from the May 13th, 2021 council meeting.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded to approve, the minutes of, the May 13th, 2021 council meeting. All in favor? 5 yeas. Number 10, financials. A, council to discuss, review, and consider approving the general and the water financials for the month of April 2021.
I'll make a motion that we approve the general and water financials for the month of April 2021.
Is there no second?
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the general and the water financials for the month of April 2021. All in favor? All in favor?
I'd like to have discussion.
You want to discuss it?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Okay. I did notice that on our financial summary report, that our dividend account is the same. We're not making nothing.
Correct.
We're not making no money.
That's correct.
That's bad business.
Yes, it is. Esther and I have been addressing that next week.
Okay. So.
That's been going on a long time.
Yeah.
So we have a plan for that?
It will be on the next agenda, sir.
Okay.
No, I just saw a question.
And I reviewed the statements in detail and went over some of the things with Esther, and I'm proud of what she's done and, administration's done. They're pretty good on it. It's good.
And if I may finish, I did notice that, we changed it a little bit, and we added the prior year month, took off percentage of the budget and put the prior year month comparison. I liked that. Yeah.
I think it was on the month before, but I'm not sure.
No.
Do you have something, Ms. Bishop?
Yes, as far as that dividend and those investments, I had, talked to Esther several months ago about we need to look into increasing our interest on our investments and our dividends. I had already talked to her about that previously. I've also, have encouraged her to do some more research through TML and through other places where she can get good guidance on investments that cities are allowed to do.
It's in our ordinances and then also in audits what we can do. Can I speak?
Yes, go ahead.
I addressed this issue recently with Esther, and she gave me a printout of every bank account and every investment we got. And I intend to put this on the agenda for council consideration next month and give them some options of where we can put the money. Best I remember, I was sort of asked to do that, but I can't swear to that. But that's what I plan on doing on the team.
Y'all, this was before y'all came, but I remember when you first came here, this is what you wanted to do, find better places to put our money to get more interest, and there was a big blow up to do about it, so that nothing was ever done about it.
Can I be?
Yes, I thought you would do that.
No, that's okay. It's all right. I'm just trying to buffer you. At the current time, they're making 0.15% interest. And some of them are scattered throughout the United States, but most of them go all through the movie bank and they disperse them. Also, of course, I don't want to go on with this because I'll address it if y'all wish, next meeting. Well, everybody knows it's just insured for $250,000 under FDIC. But when you put a lot more money in there, then the institution you have it with puts guaranteed securities to back it up. Now, since you brought it up, I'm on that dividend account that Mr. Wiggins brought up. That's been inactive 6, 7 years, and then my understanding through Esther that Mrs. Connie had put it in there was some kind of interest account, and she pulled it out and it should have been sitting there. Yeah, there's opportunities out there today, just on savings account, online, FDIC insured, you're making 0.5%. But you can't put more than $250,000 there, so we would have to take money and put it in several different ones, and I have a list to present if they want it, to where we can possibly move $1 million, $2 million bucks, but you can take it out anytime, any day, so, I appreciate you letting me talk about that.
Yeah, she once noticed that right off when she first came here, and I forget now why, but there was a big blow up about it, so you let it go. You remember that? I do.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, there's nothing been done, so I'm
Yeah,
gonna propose we do
exactly.
something, and I'll be up to y'all to decide.
I agree with you. Yes, I really do. Any more discussion before the vote?
But I'm proud of the state. I'm proud of everybody's work that's gone on, the
Yeah.
administration, and Esther, and the council, and Mr. Fowler especially, worked with me, and Esther, and Ms. Bishop, and I know that's important. We can't function without the money.
That's right. Okay, all in favor of approving, the finance? 5 yeas. Item B, the council to discuss, review, and consider approving accounts payable for the water and the general funds for the month of April 2021. Accounts payable.
I make a motion we approve.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, motion made and seconded, is there any discussion? Okay, to approve, the accounts payable for both the water fund and the general fund for April 2021, all in favor? 5 yeas. Number 11, city administrator's report. Mr. Bishop.
Okay, item A, council to discuss, consider possible take action on accepting sealed bids submitted for director road, driveway, and employee parking, which actually, that's not really employee parking, that's gonna be customer parking. Employees gonna park on the grass. We are not gonna take up good parking spots and leave our citizens out. But either way, I have 2 sealed bids. I don't know if y'all want to have someone open these tonight,
Yes.
or, you know, what y'all decide. I did have it on the website, I did reach out to several vendors, these are the only 2 that responded. And they are sealed, they've not been opened. One says that it's water department drive-through parking lot, I don't know who said this one. And then this one says sealed bill documents do not open city hall drive-through parking lot, and so, who do y'all want to open them?
Can I pose a question about, when we put the bids out, did we send the bids out for the road base and drive-through, and also the handicap parking area?
No.
Or is it just the parking lot and the drive-through?
Yeah.
I was under the impression, I went back and looked at the minutes, we were doing it in separate.
Okay.
Because y'all had suggested doing this road base would be a lot cheaper, cost effective for the drive-through in the parking lot.
Okay.
So I strictly did that based off of that.
Okay.
Let the chief open them.
Yeah. Chief, will you open?
And when you open it, you have to read like who it's from and read the jazz, please.
Put you on the spot.
I don't mind.
This bid looks like it's from the Foster Land Management out of Eddy, Mike Foster.
Yeah, he lives up here on 4th Street.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And the description of the work is road-based parking lot and drive-through on the east side of the building, drive-through side. Drive-through will need to be elevated so the window is no more than 40 feet from grade. Brought out 14 feet for width and slope to the parking lot, or parking area. The drive-through will need to slope back to the parking area on the north end. There's a 12-inch drop from the building to the 14-foot side of the drive-through. It will need to be layered and packed to the end of the slope. Parking and drive-through dimensions, 70 feet deep and 75 feet wide, 4 inches deep, except for the drive-through building side for build-up for the window. It is estimated to be 18 inches deep to the outside of the drive-through. Organic matter removed prior to the road base. As the bid amount is $2,400.
2,400?
2,400?
Yes, sir. 2,400.
Now, the bid was for the city to furnish the road bed. That's the way it went out. That's labor.
That's just.
So that's just labor, 2,400?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, Sonia?
The road base, if we get the road base from, help me with the name of the company, Connors,
Yes,
it's gonna be about $2,400.
yes.
There is some alternatives, but I don't know if it's gonna be the same grade. I talked to Mr. Talbot about this, and he said not every road base is the same quality. But I did, before I knew that, I reached out to McLean County, they said they could get us the road base for about $900. Again, I don't know anything about road base, so I don't know the difference in quality of what you would be getting if you got it from county versus Connors versus TechStot. But I didn't wanna, and I didn't wanna keep that information to myself. I wanted to make
Huge
people
difference.
aware.
Huge difference.
Have anybody that's had dealings with either one of them?
I've had dealings from Connors.
I have too. My driveway's been there 20 years, never had to mess with it. Once it sets, it's there.
All right.
This person, I've heard of him, I've never had personal dealings with him, but I've heard he is an outstanding, honest man.
Who's that?
Oh, there he is, right?
Oh, I think that him
Okay.
there.
Yeah, I didn't recognize.
I didn't know who he's talking about
Yeah.
at first.
I've heard nothing but good
Say something
stuff.
about it.
My son
Say
especially
something about the road bed.
rags on him.
Does he?
Ms. Bishop has something.
Okay, Ms. Bishop.
I have one more thing to add. During my conversation with Mr. Talbot and with other people about this subject on road base, they reminded me when we do interlocal agreements with how the county puts down the road, to look at the quality of that
Yes.
and kind of judge it off of that. So if I had to say, my advice to council would be go with the other company, not to use the county because you get what you pay for.
Yes.
That's just my opinion though. I'll share that.
Thank you.
Second bid.
Mr. Foster also said, estimated times 5 days, weather permitting and available materials.
What do you know about the, base, Mr. Foster? Connors or the county? I don't know where the county, I think the county don't
County
think.
gets a lot of theirs from Connors
Yeah.
too, but there's, rock and rock clay mixtures, they have just a good combination of a mixture there that packs well, and
Mhm.
they say it packs like concrete, but it's not far from it from
Yeah,
not being concrete.
okay.
You talking about Connors or the county?
Connors.
He said the county gets theirs from them.
Some of it, yeah.
So they use a different kind of thing. You look at it here, they put a base under it, and they come in and shoot, oil on it and pea gravel. It
Yeah.
it don't have that kind of
It's not the same.
staying power, but anyhow.
Second bid now. It is good.
So this one is,
I didn't recognize it. Well, I didn't want to interrupt you, but damn it, I knew you didn't see him.
You don't have to do that, that's it.
oh, the vendor on this one's G4 Dirtworks out of Moody. Contact person is Chris Grunsdorf.
Gruzendorf.
Oh, sorry, I butchered that. I'm sorry. Bid amount, $6,626. The description of work required is 70 cubic yards haul off for organic material, 110 tons of limestone road base delivered and installed finished grade. Installation process includes roll compaction, includes 2-inch culverts on enter and exit at Wilcox Drive, and includes Wilcox Drive include, and then it drops down, says excludes pipe, bollards, and wheel stops. Estimated time to complete job, 15 consecutive calendar days. That's just for the drive-through / parking lot bottom of window. And then there's another for the drive-through parking lot raised elevation. Bid amount for that job, $7,281. It's the same work description. Down at the bottom it says, by raising grade to this elevation, the building is subject to water or mold damage. By covering weep holes and masonry work, also allows rainwater to seep into said weep holes.
You have to get this
I
bad.
just have a question. Wouldn't that just supposed to be for labor and then we furnish the material, but he's doing material and all?
He's not in compliance with the bid.
It is, and that is, says on the website, you can look it up, it says, the city will supply material.
Oh, okay, that's what I
You got
thought, but I
pipe and
just wanna make
coverage and all
sure.
kind of things.
Yeah, he's not even, okay. Thank you.
So
Thank you,
the
Chief.
total of that one,
Okay.
you said $7,000 for the second part?
About $13,000.
On the first part, it's $66.26, and on the second bid, $72.81, $7,281.
Mr. Griffin, you had one question or something?
Yours,
We asked him.
Mr. Foster, was yours for the parking lot and the drive-through?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
What about culverts?
Don't need them.
Don't
Really
need
not
culverts?
enough,
Yeah, because it,
there's enough
Okay.
slope there just to go with the flow and let
yeah, okay.
I make a motion, we accept Mr. Foster, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I just want to add one thing. And I don't know if this is important, but Mr. Foster, I wanted to thank you for coming out, because Mr. Foster is the one who came out, he did all the measuring, he walked around, he did all of it. And he actually gave me what I needed to be able to put the bids out, so I want to tell you personally, thank you.
He shot the grade with the transit levels, what he did.
Yeah.
And Jamie pulled the tape, I helped him, but
Well,
anyway.
yeah, but you, I'm kidding.
Cause we need to get this done.
We sure do.
Okay,
I just had one in, he read it, I just pulled it.
well, I'll second it.
okay.
Have you made your motion?
Yes, I did, I think, I tried to.
Motion's made and seconded to award the contract to Mr. Mike Foster, that I didn't recognize. I'm sorry. Your wife wasn't with you.
Oh, I better have,
Any,
just a quick question, I'm ready to vote, quick as in. Do we have any provision or idea about the pathway from the parking lot to the door? Is it just gonna be grass?
We haven't really.
Okay, I'm just curious, I don't wanna talk about it, I just wanted to know.
Nothing yet.
all in favor? Okay, 5 yeas to accept Mr. Mike Foster's bid.
Thank you, Mr. Foster.
Congratulations.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Foster.
Okay, see, item number B under there, building permits. Update council. Mr. Wiggins, would you like to do that? This was
Well, that's on Sonia's report.
yeah,
I had it on mine,
yeah.
2 weeks, I thought.
That's about the meeting and stuff that we had.
Yes, you got it under
Yeah,
15.
item 15, I had it on, we both.
All right.
Because, we, as you know, we met,
You had the best idea of all of it.
yeah, we,
Yeah, a bunch of all of it.
the
You had
mayor,
best idea about it.
Sonia, Pam, and I met on May the 27th to discuss this issue, and we came to the conclusion, and after much discussion, and Sonia, went back and summarized it up, and basically, and she wrote it here to us, sent us email. Said, after discussing concerns and identifying problems, we concluded the best solution would be to contact the city attorney to clarify how the ordinance should be written to remove any liability from the city and all expenses to the homeowner/vendor for building inspections. Ms. Bishop will be contacting the city attorney to address the following: what is the city required to have before approving a building permit? What ordinance should the city adopt to remove any liability from the city and make all expenses and inspections the responsibility of the vendor or homeowner? And then also I said that maybe we can ask them about when they do bring up, get the building permit, to have the attorney write up an agreement for them to sign whenever they pick their permit up, stating that within so many days, and I just wrote 10 days out there, after the completion of the construction, the city will be furnished a certified copy of all the required inspection reports. So I don't know if Sonia got with Mr. Purtle yet on that.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I CC'd the mayor. I guess I should have included you. I apologize for that, sir. I did email Neil Purple, and he asked me to forward it to Stephanie Schwab, and they have not responded back. But I emailed them a second time today, just to kind of ask them for updates, and they did not update me anything yet. But the email has been sent.
So basically what it is shifting the cost of inspections from the city to the homeowner. That's the main.
Yeah,
And
that was
yeah.
our main concern,
Yeah.
is shifting that.
You had the best idea on that.
Yes, he did.
My son gave me that.
Give credit where credit's due, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, well, thank you. So there's no voting on that, it's just updating, right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, item C, update council on emergency planning meeting. That's the meeting that we had,
I'm actually gonna ask Mr. Fowler if he wants to talk
Okay.
about this, because this was his meeting,
Yeah.
and he ran it, and I'd like to see Mr. Fowler, like, we don't have.
And
We met,
he furnished lunch too.
Yeah,
Thank
that's right, good sandwiches, yeah. We met, the mayor and I and Ms. Bishop was, dial in on the meeting, and, Ms. Pam Combs, Chief Dorsey, Richard Kilgore from the city, from the school system. And, these were the individuals, or are the individuals that when a local emergency plan, is triggered, these would be the individuals that would be executing the elements of the plan. So, of course, they're all key. Gene was also there. Ron Engelkey, he works, in Temple, and so he was unable to be there, but, he and Gene, communicate, closely on, for the fire department. So we had really all the players there, and there was a lot of discussion about different, elements, that we need to discuss, as far as whether or not we have them in the local plans, such as, local shelters, and there were some ideas, pitched out by Mr. Kilgore and by Gene about some possible, facilities here that might serve as a temporary, maybe warming centers. Anyway, the plan is a large document. A lot of it is it's going to be a larger document, but a lot of it is just on trying to reduce in writing what we already know we will do in certain situations, how the different agencies, the law enforcement, fire department, Interact, Public Works, and so forth, and a lot of this is just reducing it to writing. But there are some key things that we need to decide about, and, you know, one of those would be the, you know, the possibility of shelters in extreme situations. I don't think we're considering, overnight, you know, full-fledged emergency, long-term shelters, but maybe temporary daytime warming centers or things like that. And, so, anyway, it was a very productive time, and the consensus, from everybody at the meeting was that we need to hold a town hall meeting. I would have this on the next agenda, would be that the city hall, that the city council approve hosting a town hall meeting, for citizens to come and participate in the discussions, of, you know, what we would like to see, at least considered, for our plan. And, so that'll be on the agenda, for the next meeting, and hopefully we'll have a lot of participation from our citizens, and we'll get some good ideas and some good input, and citizens will get some good feedback about our preparedness for local emergencies too. So I don't know if I've left anything out, Sonia, but.
I think you about covered everything.
Okay.
So are y'all gonna meet again to sort of kind of put some shelters together or something? You have put it on the agenda for us to have
Host a town hall
meeting another day.
And, yeah, host a town hall meeting would be our first
Okay.
task, get citizens, and maybe, have some citizens volunteer to be a part of the committee, you know, to help put the plan together.
I thank you for your diligent work for a long time on this, and I know the citizens will be well pleased when we do finally get it in place.
Yeah, it's, like I say, we're prepared in a lot of ways. In some ways, we want to be more prepared. We've already talked about, the operating center being City Hall, and that'll be something that we need to budget for, as far as getting City Hall prepared for being an emergency operating center. So there's a lot of work to do, and a lot of things to resolve, but, I think it was a good first step.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sonia, you got anything else on that?
Oh, I'm sorry, no.
Okay, so you want to do D? Item D?
I just want to remind y'all that June 10th through the 14th, I'll be out of town. I was awarded a scholarship for training that includes food, hotel, travel. So what'll happen is the city will pay it, and then the city will get reimbursed. So you're gonna see expense items in travel, then you'll see a credit go into travel, reimbursing everything. I had to write a paper about how this training's gonna benefit the citizens in the city. And out of everybody in Texas, I was one of 8 people to receive that award, so I'm pretty proud of that.
Congratulations.
Just a reminder, I won't be there. Yes, sir.
What was the training for? What
This
does
is,
it entail?
It's a city manager's training, so it goes over budgeting, it talks about tax allocation,
Okay.
it talks about capital planning, just all kinds of.
Okay, thank you very much.
An update on the bulletproof glass.
So the bulletproof glass is still not installed. We have the temporary glass. Gene is left, but Gene actually has been trying to call them as well because they started ignoring my calls. Finally, Gene got in touch with them. He's like, oh, it's going to be May 27th. We're going to be there. May 27th rolled around, still no bulletproof glass. I called him. I said, look, either give us our money back, our deposit that we had to pay, or give us a date you can install the glass. Well, we can't give you the deposit back because it pays for the glass, blah, blah, blah. I said, well, then I need an install date. Well, I'm going to call the manufacturer, speak to the manager, and I'll call you back before the end of business. Well, he didn't call me back before the end of business, but he did call me back this morning. He told me the framing part is done, and all they're waiting on is the speaker holes, and that it should be about maybe 4 more weeks at worst case scenario. He said that because of COVID, and then there was some issue with the ship, and there was some other issues that slowed down the I guess the processing is bulletproof glass, I guess they have to do some stuff to it, and it slowed down the production. So hopefully within this next 4 weeks. We do have a temporary fix up, it's not the prettiest thing in the world, but it suffices for now.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, I can't remember who the company was.
Here at last Dr. Hewitt, since we got the bid.
I answered my own question, so I was wondering how reputable these people were. But I got you. Thank you.
I don't think you want to call them again. I would.
Well,
Council discuss, consider and possibly take action on approving a YouTube channel to live stream city council meetings. This is advised by the KHT.
Yes, sir. So what happened was Sean Coworth came out on May 26th to train the staff, and instead of just training me or Pam, I thought it would be in the best interest of the city to train me, Pam, Esther, and Heather. That way somebody knows how to run this equipment. During the training, I had mentioned that I wanted to have it live streamed to the website. He had said that doing that would bog down the website. So say, for example, if somebody was trying to get on there while the live stream is going and made their court payment, it may cause like a delay, and it could cause problems. He does not recommend live streaming directly to the website. He recommends using a YouTube channel, which is free, and then having the YouTube channel link on the website so people can click on it and watch it live. I've already, because you have to get approved to be able to live stream to YouTube, I've already got the approval. I already went through all of the different steps to get approved. If y'all say, no, we're not gonna do that, then I can just cancel that account. But I did do it city of Bruceville-Eddy, in case y'all want, if y'all approve it, we already have it. If you don't approve it, I'll cancel the account.
is it gonna cause a problem, if we don't have it like you were trying to talk about with the rest of the system that we have?
If you don't live stream, the whole purpose that y'all voted for this equipment is to live stream so that citizens that are homebound can watch a meeting.
Yeah.
So that way more people are informed. If you don't go with YouTube, if you try to use the website, it's gonna bog our website down.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and it could, like I said, people, if they're getting on there to try to make payments or whatever. The other thing is with the amount of data that's gonna be going across, it could actually close our website to where there's too much data being used and it'll close the website down.
Well, I think we put a lot of money and effort into this to have it to where we can do that in live streaming. The citizens can be involved and participate on the easy manner. If it's what we gotta do, then I think that's what we gotta do.
That's up to you all.
What's it cost for?
Nothing.
The YouTube is free. There's no
Nothing.
charge. And the other good part about YouTube, that going off of what Sean had told me and told us in that meeting, was with YouTube, they automatically archive every video and it'll stay there indefinitely. So as far as like open records requests, or as far as, meetings, the Open Meetings Act requirements, YouTube already covers all that.
And it would link to our website.
Right, I would be able to go to our website and put the link there, saying to view live stream website, or view live stream meetings, go to this website.
Okay. We'll have to, I guess, would there be a link for every meeting date?
So they could go to that, they just put that one
One
link,
link?
and then that link, they can go in and there's like a section from what he told me. I've never done YouTube before. What he told me is when you go into our channel, you can go in and watch previous meetings and they'll be dated. And you can set it up, so, like, we can go in there, so like, for example, we know we have a meeting every second and, fourth Thursday of each month. We can already have those meetings where it's automatically recording them, where it's automatic, all we have to do is push a button, and it automatically picks up the camera and goes with it.
Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion on approving the YouTube channel to live stream the city council meeting.
I second.
All right. Anybody want to talk?
It-
Motion made and seconded, to approve, the live stream on YouTube. All in favor?
Can I ask a question before y'all vote?
Yeah,
Um,
we've already,
Well, you made the motion, but we've not had any discussion. Will
Ask for
the,
I asked for discussion and everybody said no discussion. And we've already
Yep.
voted. 5 yeas. If you have a question, ask it.
The question is, will the, go-to meeting continue the virtual being, as well as the YouTube? Because on YouTube, you cannot communicate. You can only watch. It's like when you go out to the church service. You can watch it, go back and watch it, but you can't have any two-way conversation on YouTube.
Don, answer that.
Actually, I am gonna have to check with TML, because I don't know if y'all saw in the news, but not too long ago, Governor Abbott has revoked the laws that he changed for COVID. He's revoked that, so we're going back to normal. So I need to see if we could, I don't even know if we can still hold the go-to meeting. I have to ask TML, because I didn't get real good clarification when I read the article about the governor changing that, the order. Because we're back to regular, back now. So we're back to regular open meeting rules and regulations. So I can, maybe I can give it to TML tomorrow, and as soon as I get an answer, I'll email you.
Okay, well, I just wanted to, I knew with YouTube you could not do two-way, but I did not know if the virtual was going to still continue or not with the new equipment, because that was one of the things that was discussed. One of the reasons we needed the new equipment was to be able to have conference communication.
Okay, well, thank you.
Okay.
Can't we do that, Ms. Bishop? With this system, we will have the sound and the video?
We will have a better system. The problem is, I don't know if we would be breaking any of the open meetings act laws. I want to ask TML to make sure because what I think I understand and what might be, I just want to verify before I say.
Well, I don't
yes,
mean
no,
that. I
or
mean to be able to communicate back and forth between the council and the public. I think that's what she was asking.
Right, I understand, but again, I would have to get clarity because the Open Meetings Act, it says that people should be in here.
Okay.
And so I need to get some clarity, because like I said, the whole reason we've been doing all this virtual stuff is because of COVID.
I got
But
you.
now they pulled back that.
You answered my
law,
question.
so-
I think that's you're probably right.
So I don't know if we can do it that way anymore.
Okay, item G, discuss
Thank you, Tanya.
a holiday parade and possibly a fall craft sale.
So I know we were gonna do a parade last year, and then COVID happened. And one of the things that I get asked quite often from citizens is, Sonia, why don't we have some community activities, craft sale, parades, things like that? So I thought, just to run it by you guys, I don't have a date prepared, but I would like to see what your thoughts are on having some community involvement and activities that we do now that COVID, we're kind of going back to normal. Because if we do a parade, a Christmas parade that has a Santa that actually works at some of the malls and stuff, he's a very realistic Santa, he does Santa at the coffee thing up here. But we have to book him fast, and the person told me they would do it for free. So we would need to get some dates and get them on the calendar if we're considering it. But I want to get your input and your thoughts before I start working on anything.
The only question I would have is who's gonna put it together?
I volunteer to use my off time when I'm not in school or work. I have some employees that are willing to donate their time.
Well, that's what I was saying is, you know, who you gonna get to participate in the parade and what they're gonna use and all this kind of thing. I wasn't.
Well, last year council approved an application to be on there that was approved by our city attorney to remove any liability. So we would use that same application. And last year, before we had to cancel the Christmas parade, I already had the band and the cheerleaders interested from the school district. And then I already had a couple of churches that had reached out to get information. And then, of course, there's the ROTC, there's the CDC.
Well, that was my question, you know, who's gonna.
Well, I'm hoping that I can get some folks out of the community to volunteer, and you like to volunteer, so I figured maybe you could help me.
Yeah, hey, sure.
Add it to your list.
Yeah, sure. Hey, it's just one more thing, here's
Why
no problem.
not?
Yeah, but I just trying to know what we want or something. I'm not opposed to it. I think the more people get involved again, the better it is, but you know, you don't wanna have one tractor, one car, and one Santa going up the
Well,
street.
you gotta start somewhere.
I know. Thank you.
Okay, does that satisfy your question? Anybody?
Mr. Cecil has a.
Do we need
Well,
to do
I
something
just
on
wanna say, I think it's a great idea.
Me too.
Yeah,
We need something.
yeah,
We gotta get our community back together.
Yes, we do, we need to become a family.
yeah.
We used to have the Mayfest.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's kind of the goal, it won't be as big as.
I'll
great.
volunteer
So we,
my
so kinda
property to
when's your
have a-
deadline to have this in place to approve to go forward with it?
Well, I just wanted to get your input and your ideas. I just wanted to get ideas, because I didn't want to put into work, and then,
Well, I think, I like the idea of certainly a community event. I think the time of year, you know, you got weather, you know, worse weather. I love the Mayfest, and that was a great time of year. But that would just be one thought, okay, just a thought. And the other thing would be, you've got a lot going on, and I think this sounds like something that would take a lot of work.
yeah,
So I would
it would take a lot of.
I would just caution you about how much work and time it's gonna take, and, you know, but anyway, those would be my two thoughts.
Again, though, I'm willing to do it after hours, on my own time,
Well,
and
I hate,
weekends,
yeah,
you know, like I said, when it's not school or work, because I have some hours in between school and work that I can do.
that's kind of my point. You got a lot.
So I believe I call that a go-ahead sign, so,
I think so.
I'll get some stuff together and y'all can
Okay.
work on it.
Okay, thank you.
okay. Item H, update the council on the culvert at the corner of Highway 107 and Franklin Road. Well, that thing needs to be replaced and widened.
So, an email was sent out, because we noticed the damage, email was sent out, and on the 21st of May, is when that email went out, and then I got an email from Clayton Zecca from TxDOT that verified this is on the maintenance schedule for TxDOT. They're gonna be coming out, digging it up and replacing it. So TxDOT is gonna be repairing that.
Good.
At no cost to us.
They're gonna widen it a little bit.
They didn't mention why
Well,
they did it
yeah,
all,
that'd
they
be
did say they're gonna fix it.
The problem, I've been running off of it forever, because you can't meet two cars, and had an old sign pipe sticking up that high. And I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I mentioned it something to Gene, and he said, let me look at it, so I know it's 2 or 3 days, he went down there. I said, it's probably textile, but I don't know, he said, well, I'll check it out. But he went down there and cleaned them out, and then he told me later that you did get over the test lot, and you did, whoever, and they said they would do that, so.
Yeah, I got it. So-
It's been needing done a long time.
They did clean them out, though.
And that's
Gene
it.
did that.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's it on the update.
Okay. Item number 12, this is one I put on there, and I think we pretty well settled that in the workshop. I discussed it and considered it, and I don't think, there's any need of trying to take action on it, so we'll just skip it. Item 13, the rest of these all with Mr. Wiggins. Item 13, council to discuss, consider, and possibly take action on where the city is with complying with the letter of conditions as stated by the United States Department of Agriculture for the sewer system.
Yes, sir, I put this on there. As you know, that, here a while back, Johnny told us that, we could go ahead and be working on these things. And so I felt like it would be a good idea to put it on here. And I know Sonia sent us something on it, kind of giving everybody a update, but I'd kind of like for her to go through it and kind of let us know, because there is some things on there that's very important, and one of them is that we're gonna have to have a plan. Policies, procedures, and ordinance must be submitted for agency review prior to advertising for bids, along with the documents below. And this has to do with them being able to get their money. Accounts not paid in full. you know. So that's gonna be very important that we get that.
I didn't quite understand that.
So on the section 3, of that, section 3, item 15, the system policies and procedures,
Yes, sir.
you know, it states in there that, the policies and procedures ordinance must contain an effective collection policy for accounts not paid in full within a specified number of days after the date of billing.
I got you now. I know what it is. I know what it's about.
And then, so we have to draft these policies and procedures and ordinances, and so that's prior to advertising for bids, and then we'll have to submit that to USDA.
That's like for the sewer bill.
Yes, that's for sewer, yes, yeah, the sewer bill, yes.
So we have to, do these things before we can actually go to bid. So we need to get started on it, and you might wanna kinda help and tell us exactly what we need to do now, if you can.
That's probably a conversation that needs to occur between Sonia and USDA, Terry Chenoweth, and I think she's already talked to her about it.
Okay.
There's a number of those type of
Yeah,
things that
okay.
are in the letter for this.
Good, thank you, yes.
So what, oh, sorry, I'm sorry.
On that thing there is, the council had asked me several months ago, and I've actually been working on it 4 months, and, Ms. Bishop and I and Pam and, another lady met Tuesday for 2 hours, 15 minutes, dealing with past due bills and accounts receivable, et cetera, and she has it and working on it. We're still working on it. Hopefully, we might have it ready for the 10th, I don't know, but I'm not gonna put pressure on about it, so this will directly affect the sewer bill as well. But both of those can be put in the same place. That's the only reason I brought it up, because the sewer bill will be tied directly into those same ordinances.
Right.
So it's water. That's the only reason I brought it up. I didn't mean to interrupt anything. So that's sort of kind of being worked on.
Yeah, and Sonia has on this paper that she sent out to everybody that they're working on this side. But I just want to really stress that it's really important for us to make sure we do all this.
So this won't come up cold turkey, what I'm saying about the dressing of the accounts receivable and things, and past due bills and bills being paid. We are addressing that, and hopefully it'll be brought to the council before long, but that's gonna be up to Ms. Bishop.
Well, we're gonna talk about that.
Okay.
Okay, item
I
13.
thought it was a fourth.
Mayor,
Mr. Mayor.
Sonia has.
Oh, yeah, Sonia, I'm sorry.
Item you're talking about, Mr. Wiggins?
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
actually working with TCQPUG, and I am getting a mentor assigned to me that is going to help me write all of that. And then at some point, I will get it with Mr. Tabor to say, hey, do you think I have this right? Since he's an expert in this area. But we do have, Terry Chenoweth did give me names of organizations who will help us for free, to help us write those things. Also, it's on there, I put a note about the budget. We're gonna have to get together on that, and Johnny and I will be working on that as well, I think, if I understand correctly. Some of the things that Mr. Tabor had done, I had verified with Mr. Tabor, hey, you covered this part, right? This is something I need to do. And I did reach out again to Terry Chenoweth, and she's going back through the letter of conditions to highlight anything that we need to really focus on. I've been in contact with Dan Flight about our bond, and the bond is ordinances and issues that he has to do. So we have everything lined up. We just have to get to that specific point. I've emailed, Mr. Tabor had his plans delivered yesterday, and they emailed us yesterday with a digital copy of those plans, and I've already submitted those to the attorney. Along with Tim's already emailed the attorneys all of the easements in digital format as they requested, as well as all of the limitations. So we are.
The right-of-way map.
Sorry?
The right-of-way map.
The right-of-way map, I'm sorry, the right-of-way map. All that's been sent to the attorney, and that part's not updated on there because we didn't have the right-of-way map at that time when I did that Excel. So we'll be updating that.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Yeah, broad brush question, and I'm not studying your spreadsheet, and I can see it took a lot of time to put that together, and it's a great tracking mechanism for all of us. But, broad brush question, have you identified anything in these lists of requirements that will possibly be an issue as far as being completed? Johnny's estimate was like 45 to 60 days, maybe, on getting the approval back from USDA. Have you identified anything that might be a potential problem that would keep us from being ready to go in about that same time frame?
The only thing that I speculate, and it's a huge speculation, would be the attorneys, and how quickly they review and they get back. That's the only thing, because we're being proactive, we're working, but the attorneys, I don't know how long it's gonna take them to do their part. Like I said, we sent them everything, we're at their mercy, they know the time frame. And then the only other thing that I'm fearful of, that I'm kind of overwhelmed thinking about, that I'm definitely gonna be using the mentor and other organizations, is the budgeting part. And Johnny had already said that he would work with us on that. But the budgeting part is gonna be hard, because we don't know what the budget is, we don't know how much we're gonna borrow.
Right.
So we don't know, are we gonna use the $1 million that we already had invested in the sewer, or are we gonna leave that $1 million invested in the sewer? So the budgeting part might be something that I might need to get more
It'll
help.
be tricky. It'll be tricky, because you can't project sometimes way down here.
Right, and I mean, it's a
can't.
brand new sewer, so it's gonna be a little bit more complex to do a budget for that. So those are the only two things that I could foreseeably going wrong.
I think the best thing we can do, or all you can do, to me, is to track it as close as you can and have some kind of timetable in mind, by tracking these things closely. The attorneys, I understand, but and I'm sure they're gonna have to be pushed.
Right.
And I know we'll be pushing.
Yeah.
Definitely, definitely.
Okay, item 14, council to discuss, consider, and possibly take action on getting quotes, bids for the drive-through window, employee parking using road base.
We just awarded it.
Well, I did put that on there, Mr. Mayor, and back in, at our March 11th meeting, and I've got a copy of the minutes here. The motion, I'm just gonna read it. Motion made by Mark Fowler that we solicit bids for the handicap parking, drive-through window lane, and public parking area. Ask bidders to separate out the quotes among the drive-through window lane, and public parking, and handicap parking. Now, we did not do, so we did the drive-through window lane, and then, and I guess you would say the, employee parking, but we didn't do public or the handicap parking, so, and that was voted on back in March.
I think maybe that has to be paved, is that what you're saying, or cement?
Well, the handicap, I
Yeah.
think.
It
Yeah.
does, and here's my dilemma. I have to know measurements, because when I write up the thing for a bid proposal, I need to know measurements, I need to know all of that information that I don't know. And so I called several places and asked them, could they please come out and do quotes or whatever. I have had no luck.
So measurements, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, yeah.
So I've been working on it, but I'm not quite there yet. So, again, I'm doing this stuff from scratch, so.
Yeah.
Tanya, if you will, look at that ADA website, and I've got it printed here. And
I have it printed.
It shows you, what do accessible parking spaces look like, it gives you measurements, and things of that nature.
So do you think, oh, I'm sorry.
And so, I think if you just read this, it'll explain it to you. Pretty self-explanatory. And we can decide how many other spaces, parking spaces we may want up there. How many, like here, how many, well, we got maybe 4?
Yeah.
Out there.
Four, five.
Is that what we're gonna want?
Not very many.
I mean, how many we're gonna want over there?
We just have to pay the handicap parking.
Yes, we just have to pay the handicap parking.
Yeah.
Because I know Ms. Bishop said she had a hard time getting anybody to respond to her to give her bids or anything. And I told her I just suggested, didn't tell her, just maybe bring it to council if she needed some help. Somebody somebody local might go try to find somebody to come give us a bid on some asphalt. I think she's trying, but she got no response. But Mr. Foster measured for you.
Well, that's the thing, I mean, yeah, I understand like the handicap park, like the handicap thing, I printed that. And I know the measurement, you have to have a certain measurement, and then there has to be so much space for wheelchairs to get out of the bed, and you can't have enough parking space, all that. But I don't know the distance from point A to point B to tell me how many parking spots I can put there. How many handicap parking spots, how many individual, I don't know the measurement of that part.
Tell you, Ricky.
To put it in the writing, to put it out for bid.
I think in that.
It's 8 foot, 10 foot, I
I'm
don't know.
sorry.
I mean, I don't, is it 10 foot or 12? I thought it was like 12.
I think in the law,
It's based off of the parking lot size. So what Pam is saying is she thinks this is about the occupancy of the building. But when I was reading that, if I'm not mistaken, during the ADA, it said that you're basing your handicap, you have to have so many handicap parking spots per however many parking lot, the whole parking lot holds. Something to that, I can't remember those off the top of my
I
head.
think in the law, that there's a graph or something that says, based on, like Pam said, I think it's in the law that answers the question, how many you gotta have.
So it might be in two different places.
Yeah, and the handicap accessible, law, I mean, and I haven't seen it, read it, but I remember when we were doing some, additions to our place, in town, we were told, and it was, according to the handicap accessible laws. So that may be where the answer is, as far as what we've got, it's just a suggested place to look,
I'll get back on it tomorrow, but I did call several places, I did reach out, like I said.
And I've
I'm
got
on it, it's just, I can't make people respond, I can't make people drive out here.
I'll pass along to you also that I have a good contact on a paving company.
Okay.
And, so I could, if I need to, you tell me, and I'll try to run it down
If you wouldn't mind,
get
that'd
you
be great.
connected. Okay.
Any help is appreciated.
Okay. See, item 15,
We did that already,
yeah, okay.
so it'll be 16.
Council discuss and consider and possibly take action on procedures for non-payment of water bill.
Okay, I put that on there. And again, that item, we brought that up at our February 25th meeting and has been discussed since about non-payment delinquent accounts with the city administrators coming up with solutions. And so far, none has been presented to the council. I know that, Mr. Talbot and Ms. Bishop and Pam and maybe the mayor are working on them. But, I got to looking at that, and it's like, if we have an agreement, okay? We have an agreement right here that everybody signs that when they get water, get a meter. But this agreement talks about, the bill due date. If not paid by the 15th of the month, the next business day, if the 15th falls on the weekend, $30 late fee is assessed and will be charged. So we have, and so if you don't, so here's the thing, we need a scenario like, if you don't pay your bill, none at all, then what do? Here's what we do here, okay? But yes, ma'am, you're right, Linda, you say cut it off, but then when do we cut it off? Because we have one part on our website that says the 20th 20th, and then one part that says the 24th, then on your water bill, it says something else. On the back of my water bill for this month that I got, it says, if we do not receive your payment by the 15th of each month, there will be a $30 late fee added to your bill, and services will be disconnected on the 21st. We need to find out when it's gonna be disconnected. And then in our own ordinance, it states that the cutoff date for non-payment is the first working day after 15th due date. Water bill will be cut off next day if not paid as per extension agreement. So the way I see it, if you don't pay your bill at all, then it should be cut off the following day, unless it falls on a weekend. It'll be the first day, first working day after the 15th. Now, if you come in and sign an extension agreement on or before the 15th, then, and we have that extension agreement here, then, then you're not charged the $30 late fee. And here's the thing about the extension agreement. It says, I'll pay my balance in full on blank. So we could put in there 6 months, a year, 30 days, 90 days, and there's nothing that we have that says it'll be a minimum of 6 months, or up to 6 months to pay that. Nothing. And then let's say that month one, that you come in here and say, well, I can't pay it, but, and then actually you're supposed to pay the minimum monthly fee of the $35. So you pay your $35 and you come in and you fill this out, so my balance is $100. I'm gonna pay $35, now it keeps me from paying that $30 late fee. The next month, I could fill out another one of these. Because in our agreement, in our extension, where it talks about extensions, it says you can do this each month. So we're being a bank here.
Yeah.
And we need to get some clarity. And we need it to say that every place on our website, you go under where it says, department, water department. Where it says water department, I have
And you need to mute your phone, please.
section on May the 21st. It talks about the cutoff date.
Thank you.
And the water be cut off next day if not paid as per extension agreement. And then on something else, it says something else. So I'm just saying we need to get it all clarified and have it on how this is what happens if you don't pay your water bill. This is what happens if you have that extension agreement. And we should change this. We need to change our agreement where you can only have one extension agreement can be in effect at a time. That's what we need. And so we just need to make it, I wish it, and then it talks about deposit refund. It says within a year, and some people don't even have to pay a deposit, and we need to do away with that, make them pay a deposit. And I think we need to, because by law, state law, you can do up to 24 months. So I think we need to do up to 24 months. But they're working on this.
Yeah,
but I'm
I think
just
they're working on
saying
it.
it's confusing,
Yeah.
and for somebody to look at it and say, I don't know. And then in our ordinance too, we talk about, and here's where the city council, its hands are tied.
Yes.
The city council, it says the final authority on all adjustments and extensions of buildings shall be the city secretary or city administrator. The city council shall have no authority to make adjustments or grant extensions of building. So we, the city council, that said, we left that to y'all, and they could say, y'all don't pay us in 6 months, and now next month you can't pay, okay, we understand, so 6 months later, so we're being a bank here, and we're not getting no money. And we can't, as city councilman, I can't sit here, I don't believe I can give that authority. I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to amend that. And so, you know, I don't wanna talk on this long, because I know it's been discussed, but it's been brought up in the past, and we need to fix it and move on, and I'd like for at the next meeting, they bring it to the head that they've had since February to.
But only had one meeting, because I've acquiesced on that since y'all asked me, because all these other issues come up, Ms. Bishop couldn't work, she's sick and gone and everything, so finally, we had a meeting, and you hit the nail on the head. I've been seeing it since January and February, even look at the audits, it's very obvious of what's been going on, and there really hadn't been any guidelines, even though the ordinances are in place, and you just hit a few of them. I'm talking about the ordinances are totally contradictory.
I know.
One says this, another says this, now which is it? And Mr.
I
Tabor,
didn't want this to go on.
no, I'm not, but it's being addressed, even the items that you brought up in the thing, and, Ms. Bishop is working on it, and Pam emailed me yesterday, working on it. If they do their part, then I'm gonna do my part to bring it to council next meeting, I'm gonna put it on the agenda.
Good.
Thank you.
So you got something, Ms. Sonia?
So this is all of the printed stuff that we found, and I've been going back into the website and looking at more ordinances. The ordinance, one of the ordinances goes back to 1995. It's just a contradictory. I agree with everything you just said.
And then some.
Policies, procedures, this is this. But we have to follow TCEQ laws, and we have to follow PUC.
Yes.
PUC says you cannot disconnect a water customer until 10 days
10
past
days.
the due date.
Well,
So that should be law.
That's
period.
addressed.
10
So
days
we-
is better.
we're
But
gonna
see,
be-
they've been living out of the ordinances for 20-something years.
Right.
And the reason it's got out of hand, because the people in leadership roles didn't take responsibility, turning over the employees up in the water office. I won't ever agree to giving them authority to handle a customer's account and take the money and write the bill off unless one or three people that's in authority approve it.
Right.
Because it don't need to be no 90 past due customers and people you cut off every month.
Right.
So
The checks and balances. need to be
I'm
done.
glad Mr. Wiggins brought it up, and I brought it up before, and I know Ms. Owens once time she got tired of hearing it, but I think she understands better now. And you can't write off $20-something worth of past due bills every year. The buck has got to stop somewhere, and it's gonna stop right here, if I got a vote.
Well, we know you've been doing that. So we
Well-
appreciate it.
Well, that's okay,
Yeah.
all this should be done by them, but, and the things that sort of kinda, been doing what it's done all these times,
Yeah.
and everybody needs, the councilman needs to help the administrator get their feet on the ground, they swamp, Mr. Taylor, everybody. So, I'm honored to be able to do what I can do. That don't mean I'm gonna put everything first. I'll give her suggestions, and she's gotta help, everybody does.
Sure.
So that was all I had.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Item 17, council to discuss, consider, and possibly take action on appointing 2 council members to work with staff on the 2021-2022 budget, and for them to report back to the council with their recommendations. Mr. Wiggins.
Yes, sir, I put this on there because I felt like it would help the council, when you appoint a couple of council members to these committees, and that helps, I believe, it helps weed out a lot of things. And therefore, when they bring it back to the council, it's pretty well in order, and we don't have, the whole council don't have as much items to go through. So I believe that does help, and so I think it would be.
Well, I have just one question, and I think it's all right that you could do this, but it's not against the law. We may have to check with the mayor. Can 2 councilmen be appointed to kind of like?
Yes, it's not a quorum.
I know it's not a quorum, but I mean,
Yes, 2 council members can.
okay, good. That's all I wanted to know.
Just a point I'd like to remind everybody, we set a June, 22nd meeting. That meeting, I think is basically, where we'll all kind of feel like we're headed out with the budget planning on the same page. That's what I hope will come from that June 22nd meeting. And that'll be all of us giving our thoughts. And of course, Sonia's, input, will be very critical there, but we listed a couple of meetings back about all the things that we need to resolve. You know, things like, you know, raises, you know, what we're gonna do for raises, capital expense request, and so those are the kind of things that, you know, we'll hopefully have some kind of understanding. We won't know, I'm sure we won't have a capital budget at our first meeting, but we'll have hopefully, you know, discussions with our department heads and so forth, and maybe even have them, you know, participate in the sessions when they're on the docket, you know, what we're working on. So anyway, I just want to remind everybody we're going to do this. I think I understand what we're saying here is kind of similar to what we've done, like on the budget reports. You know, we put 2 council members on there, and I think the thing I thought came from it was really valuable was just the communication exchange. You know, we got insight from the staff, and I think the staff got insight from us and opinions, and I think it was very valuable in terms of just straight up communication. But I mean, I would say that last year, I think Mr. Wiggins worked closely with Ms. Bishop on the budget planning, and I would certainly propose to council that if we do this, that I would certainly want him to be on it, and I don't usually, all I'll do is just say I would certainly volunteer myself to also, you know, be the representative, the council representative, if the council would be so inclined. So
does somebody want to make a motion to appoint 2 council members?
make a motion that we appoint 2 council members to work with.
Which 2?
You wanna name them?
Anybody want to volunteer? Or?
Well, I'll make the recommendation, is that okay?
Yeah.
Or anybody else, that's,
No,
Wait,
I just-
make you a motion.
well,
oh, wait till they make
I
a
thought
motion.
Linda had her hand up.
I
Well,
have
I
a
don't-
question. No, I'm not.
You have a question?
I
Okay.
just have a question.
Okay. Good.
Okay, because we're gonna be voting on this, and when does the budget and stuff start? Like when you're gonna be doing this?
The meeting is the 22nd.
Our whole council meeting
June,
about
okay.
budget planning is the 22nd.
Okay, and
Then
then
it'll
that is
proceed
for
after that.
the, new budget year of next year, is
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Well, what about the election fixing to come up? What if some of us don't make it, and we vote
Don't make
somebody
any
in?
Yeah, we have to have.
Then you'll have to,
We have to have the budget done, but then in September.
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
that's all I was,
Yeah.
just wanted to make sure, I'm thinking,
Yeah.
you know, we're gonna have to have 3 people, one on standby, or what?
When's the deadline on the budget? Is it August?
September 29th or something like that.
Oh, okay.
There's a bunch of different dates, you have certain dates you have to do tax allocation,
Jesus.
certain dates you have to have.
Somewhere
Yeah.
around there.
Okay, all right,
But
I
the
just
goal
wanna
is
make
you
sure.
have to be done by the
You know,
first
all
of
of-
September on everything.
All
I'm
of them
gonna make a
before
recommendation.
November.
All right.
Yes, sir.
But you can do it sooner rather than
Mr.
later.
Fowler said
Everything
he'd
before
volunteer.
You're better off your
I know.
meeting.
That's all. I said, can I make a recommendation?
Yes, I said yes.
Okay, well, you were saying something else, so I didn't want to get out of order.
Make a recommendation, please.
I'm like Mr. Fowler, he worked on it, Ricky did last year, I think that's it's just a lead pipe cinch. He's more familiar with it, because I could work on it, but I'm gonna be doing something else, so I think Mr. Fowler volunteered, I think him and Ricky Williams ought to be appointed to work with the budget, and if they need some additional help from whomever, they can, you know, bring it to the council and somebody will help them, but that's who I would recommend to the council to appoint, unless somebody else wants to make a different one.
Is that a form of a motion?
Yes, sir, it is.
I'll second it.
All right, motion made and seconded to appoint Mr. Wiggins and Mr. Fowler. Was this a committee you called?
Yes.
Or committee to work with the staff on the budget? All in favor? 5 yeas. 18, council to discuss, consider, and possibly take action on appointing a committee for water infrastructure. If you appoint a committee, some committees, I don't know if this would apply or not, but a lot of time when a city appoints a committee, members of that committee have a voting authority.
Yes, some of them do.
Some of them, I don't know if this would.
That's not what I would suggest that we do on this budget or the water committee.
Well, anyhow,
Well, the committee, don't take it out of context. I mean, the committee could be 2 council members. It could be, you know, that's what I mean. But, so I did put that on there, and that's something that, actually, we voted on, Mr. Fowler, and I have that here, made a motion at the February 25th meeting to form a committee for water infrastructure. And I would like to say that I know Mr. Talbert has lots of knowledge of our water system, and I can't think of anybody more knowledgeable to be on this committee than him. And, so I would like for him to be on the committee, and if, Cecil, if you wouldn't mind, would you assist?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I would like to make a motion that Mr. Talbert and Mr. Griffin be on the water committee, on the committee for water infrastructure.
Okay,
Next discussion.
okay,
Was there a second?
Not yet.
not yet.
Okay, is there, you want a second?
Can you
No,
second?
I wanted to discuss something.
Yeah, but you need a second.
Yeah.
really.
I second it.
You second it?
No, I don't want to second me. No, I don't do that.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm not gonna second me being on anything.
Well, somebody's got to
Mark will then.
second it, man.
No?
I'll second it.
All right,
Okay.
motion made and seconded,
Okay,
to
so,
appoint those on the committee. All right, go ahead.
okay, so I make the motion that we do appoint Cecil and
Second.
second, yeah, okay. And so y'all got the motion down, okay. So, when we put this, approve this, to do this, the idea was that it would be, the city council members and also possibly community
Yes.
people
That's what I
who have, maybe knowledge and experience and could make input. But, if we could get Johnny to maybe clarify or maybe give us what he feels such a committee would be needed for in terms of what you do.
I think there's a lot of things that exist in the water system that the council and the community don't know anything about. And my idea of a committee would be certainly 2 council members, but also would include Gene.
Yes.
I mean, he's the guy with the nuts and bolts out there. He digs the pipe up, he knows how big it is, and whatever problems there are. I will be, if it pleases the council, I will serve on the committee as well.
Yeah.
And then that would put Gene and I where we can talk with Mr. Talbert, you know, those, whoever else you want on the committee, and we can talk about what is here now, what works now, what we need to do, and some kind of order in which that needs to be done.
And I remember, Pam was really, I think, key in getting this brought to the meeting when we talked about it. But one of her, needs, is that people, as we all know, request water meters, and we do meter studies, and we can't reasonably offer people a water meter. It's, cost-wise, it's too expensive or whatever, but Pam had no no knowledge of what the city's expansion and upgrade plans of the water system are. And so when people say, well, how long do you think it'll be before we can have service out here? She can't answer that question because, at least as far as I'm understanding, we don't know.
But that's, can I say something?
Yeah.
That's one thing we're gonna agree.
Yes, I'm just saying.
I know,
Yeah.
but also, I would like, possibly to amend your motion, if y'all see fit. Another gentleman that's a citizen, has more knowledge and probably, well, he does have a little more knowledge than me, but not tremendous, but, and also Gene is Mr. Larry Werman. It's a citizen of the community that wants to help us. He's very knowledgeable of the system, he's on the water board with me many years, and then he was water superintendent. I would suggest that his knowledge of this system does not go to waste. If we use that, put him on the committee as well.
You think he would agree?
Yeah, but he's already agreed that he would do it.
I
The
thought
council
say,
so wishes.
I thought say maybe you could amend the,
But, yeah, it was my motion,
yeah.
so I would like to amend my motion to read that, that Mr. Talbert and Mr. Griffin work with Gene, Johnny, Pam, Sonia, and then, reach out to Mr. Roming and work with them on, the committee for the water infrastructure. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yes, second. You don't need help on the motion, I think.
The motion was made to appoint,
To appoint James Talbert and Cecil Griffin and have them work with.
well, would they be part of the committee? You can just go ahead and appoint them.
Okay, I didn't know if them other ones
Yeah,
wanted
they could be.
but I can appoint them, I'll go ahead and appoint them.
Part of the two councilmen is the council on the committee, and then these other people
Yeah.
on the committee.
Okay,
as well.
for Mr. Talbert and Mr. Griffin and Gene, the water superintendent, and Johnny Tabor, the engineer, water engineer, and Mr. Larry Roman,
And you said,
and Pam and Sonia to be on the water committee for water infrastructure.
okay. And who seconded that?
Cecil.
Cecil.
No, Mark Fowler did. I'm
Mark
sorry.
Fowler.
Mark, okay. Okay, so the motion's made and seconded, to name, those people that he just listed, to be a committee for water infrastructure. All in favor? 5 yeas. Okay, item 19, council to discuss communication issues between the city staff and the city council.
I put that on there, and just, first and foremost, the relationship between the mayor, city council, and city staff is a partnership that serves the community. Civility and communication are key elements of this partnership by providing regular and complete information equally to all council members. I feel like the council members are not being kept updated and informed on pertinent city matters. It seems like things are a secret and they shouldn't be. A lot of things on this agenda should have already been handled and they haven't. Not until the issue is pressed, is brought up again, then the matter is addressed. I had no clue, nor do I believe that other council members did, that we were gonna move into the new city hall when we did. Me personally, I feel that we should not have moved into the new city hall until we were totally ADA compliant and the road was constructed with a drive-through window in order for it to be totally operational. We are not totally ADA compliant and the road for the drive-through window has not been started. It's imperative that the city staff and mayor keep this council informed of all relevant city matters. Communication is a vital key to keeping this city moving in the right direction and keeping our citizens informed. Successful relationships between staff, mayor, and city council members require an ongoing effort and attention, and communication is a central element of this effort. And we just haven't, I don't feel like, Mr. Mayor, that the council has been kept up to date on things. I know that in the past, you know, I know that Mr. Fowler had a motion and for the council, for the city administrator to update the council at every meeting on things that's going on. And as you know, I put 8 items on here, and Sonia put 8 on hers too. And every one of these items were past items that should have already been handled.
Yeah.
And so I just feel like that we need to be kept more in the loop.
I agree.
Well, how would be the best way to do that? That you should send the emails. But the mayor, I feel like I can't call each and every one, because people will consider that.
Well, I mean, important things is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not talking about the.
Yeah, well, something
But
important.
if it's not illegal, why can't you do it?
Well, I mean.
Who cares what they think? As long as you tend to business.
Called a walking forum.
Yeah, walking quorum or something like that, or collusion, or Russian collusion.
Yeah, but
There you go.
you can't vote.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. So,
I believe we've got.
but I think, everybody, you know, anything important, don't you just send emails to everybody? I mean, I get one.
I sent emails, I mean, I will work on my communication, but I would like to know that it's also important for council to work on their communication as well. Sometimes I feel like if I reach out to certain council members, I'm gonna get my head bitten off, or I'm gonna get belittled, or I'm gonna get treated badly. And there has been several times that staff has come to me with concerns because council members have came to City Hall, and 2 council members in particular came to City Hall very recently and was complaining about me to them. There has been several complaints come to me about things that's being said in Daily Bread by council members about me and about the staff. So I feel like the communication can be improved, not only on my side, but also on the council side. And I think that respect goes 2 ways. And I think I deserve the same respect that I give, and I hope that I show y'all respect. So.
Well, it ain't been me, 'cause I ain't been Daily Bread.
I admit it.
And I think that you and I think I tell you like it is to your face. I try to talk to you myself in person. So therefore, I have no reason to talk back behind my back.
I mean, it's not only that, there has been conversations that have been very disruptive, not very good, effective communication on both sides. I'm just as guilty. I'm just as guilty, and I agree with Mr. Wiggins.
Failure to communicate.
But just like right now, I'm sorry.
No, please don't.
No.
Continue. I mean, you gotta get it out, Sonny.
Yeah.
Just like just now when I was talking, there's people rolling their eyes and things, I mean, it's just disrespect, people see on the camera, so it's just, we need to, both sides need to work on our communication.
Amen.
So, I just say, I think we've had a good meeting tonight, and I think we've talked about some tough things.
Yeah.
And I think we did a pretty good job. I think we've got a mechanism that would help our communication, and that's the city manager's report. Now, all of us, are extra cautious about making sure that we can discuss things that aren't on the agenda. So, other cities have ways to do that. But I think our mechanism is your report. And I think that every 2 weeks, there's things that may be out there that we don't know about. And maybe, I'm not talking about somebody missed work or somebody had a flat tire. And you know, I'm just saying that if there's things that could potentially become issues, I mean, I just want to know. I just want to know.
She can cover that in her report, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm saying that you've got that mechanism there. And also, I think during that, if questions come up as a result of your report, if questions come up as a result of Chief Dorsey's report, that we're perfectly legal to say, well, what about this last meeting item that we had, or, you know, I mean, tonight I had a couple of things that I really wanted to know where they stand. And we talked about a lot of things, and that's why I didn't want to slow it down. But I think that we split hairs too much on what we can talk about and what we can't talk about. And I've talked to TML about it. I've tried to get clarification. I've talked to former, very experienced, city managers, and they concur that there's ways that you can do that. And a lot of these items are just simply discussion items that could come under your report and don't require action. It's just, hey, you know, remember those folks that came in and they wanted a water meter and, you know, we had to refund their money, you know, so I don't want to talk about that now because it's not on the agenda, but I would love to know where that stands. But that is one mechanism, and then you have the email mechanism. And you're very careful, and we appreciate it, when you say do not reply to all. I mean, that's greatly appreciated, but that's another mechanism, that if it's in between council meetings, it's a quick email, you know, and so that's all I'm saying is if we utilize the resources that we have and mechanisms that we have, I think we can help all of us can help, you know.
Yeah, that's very good, thank you.
Yeah.
Very good.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Before we adjourn,
We're still on item.
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Okay.
and don't everybody leave until I say it's over, because I want to say thank you.
Okay. As long as it's
Okay,
on the agenda.
okay, are you through with 19?
Yes, sir.
Okay, 20.
Okay, the only thing on 20 left was that smoking, and
Oh, I didn't forget that.
that's, I think, let me just say this, I'd like to amend the motion that the ordinance that we have, that section 6.02.001, where it says smoking prohibited in municipal buildings. I'd like to amend that to read, there will be no smoking in any of the Bruceville-Eddy municipal buildings. Outdoor smoking must not interfere with non-smokers' rights to clean air as they enter and leave the buildings. Smoking means lighting, burning, inhaling, or exhaling any substance, tobacco or vapor product, including electronic cigarettes or other devices, pipes, cigars, which emits either vapor or smoke. And that defines smoking. And now, if that's okay, now I know that when we discussed this in the workshop, somebody had thrown out there like so many feet away. If you'd like to put that in there.
Who's gonna go mark it off?
I don't know, that's why I say this.
No.
If I say outdoor smoking must not interfere with non-smokers' rights to clean air as they enter and leave the building, shouldn't that be sufficient?
I would think so.
I would think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, you're gonna go out and mark line. You don't want to do that.
So that's my motion. Again, I'll make the motion to amend that section 6.02.001 to read, there will be no smoking in any of the Bruceville-Eddy municipal buildings. Outdoor smoking must not interfere with non-smokers' rights to clean air as they enter and leave buildings. Smoking means lighting, burning, inhaling, or exhaling any substance, tobacco or vapor product, including electronic cigarettes or other devices, pipes, cigars, which emits either vapor or smoke.
Second.
Motion made and seconded for what he said, I'm not gonna repeat all of it.
She got it on tape, she.
All in favor?
Discussion?
All discussion.
Oh, sorry.
If there's no discussion.
Okay, I would want to recommend that we run this by our city attorney. And, because we've got the question out there about whether or not we have to have a reference of enforcement. And so and I'm hoping that we don't have to have a reference of enforcement.
You pay the attorney bill.
I don't think the city, the school now has to have that, but that's state laws, you know.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's all right, I don't care.
Yeah. I mean, I would
I
just
don't like to
recommend.
waste money.
Okay, so,
I
so
agree.
that carried, right? Okay.
I agree.
So before we leave, we have a regular meeting scheduled for next Thursday, the 10th, but there's a need to cancel it or change it or something. She won't be here for one thing. And, the, agenda would need to be out tomorrow. And she didn't have time to have all that done.
When is this thing you think to put it off to?
What?
When do you wanna put it off to?
Well, that's what I was fixing to ask y'all. I mean, I can cancel it, just say cancel it, but of course, a lot of people go out and complain about that.
Well, there's certain things that you gotta be here for.
Yeah.
Then it's gonna be tough, and you
Yeah.
can't get the agenda out.
Exactly. So, we can put it off to the next Thursday.
That'll be the
17th,
seventeenth.
and then you'll have
17th?
one the
Yes, sir.
24th.
Okay,
That'd
so,
be all right with me.
Okay, can we consider that budget workshop on the same day? Would y'all have, like, do the budget workshop on the same day of the 17th? I mean, 'cause we're talking about
Yeah.
5 days later.
No, I don't have any problem with it, can you address that?
but the, we have a meeting already scheduled, I believe, for the 22nd.
Yeah,
Yes.
you're right.
With
Yeah,
the
well,
next,
10 a.m.
oh, 10 a.m.
Yeah, it was 10 a.m. on the 22nd. That way, it was just a workshop, that way, employees would be here. and all
Okay,
that.
I would just wanna ask a question, so we'll leave that alone, and then we'll, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I mean, if y'all wanted to have that meeting on the 22nd, you could, y'all just need to let me know so I could do the agenda and get it posted or whatever. But you could, instead of having it on the 17th, the meeting then the 22nd, the meeting then the 24th, the meeting.
Well, I think the
You could
22nd
do
is just a
everything
workshop.
On the 22nd, but we haven't posted it yet. It's
Okay.
not been posted or anything yet.
Okay,
So if y'all chose to have it on the 22nd at 10 a.m.,
it's already
you
been
could have a
voted.
workshop, then your council meeting, because you still have time to post it. You're still within 72 hours
But you already voted to do the
Yeah,
22nd.
we already voted
to do the workshop.
to do the workshop.
But then you could decide tonight if you wanna go ahead and do a council meeting that same day.
If it,
It's up to y'all. I don't care.
On the 22nd or the 17th?
The 22nd.
No, she's talking about doing the workshop and the city council meeting on the 22nd.
That's on a Tuesday. I have a doctor's appointment that
Okay.
morning. Now, that night I can.
We have another meeting on the 24th, too.
okay, so I'm just,
I'm lost.
yeah, I would be in favor of setting a date for one more meeting for this month.
How about the 24th? I agree with you.
That's all right.
Uh,
I
Okay,
agree.
but, and then keep our budget workshop set.
Yeah.
Okay.
22nd.
So, I mean, I'm making a motion that we set a date for one additional council meeting this month. And,
It's already said.
It's already said.
All I have to do is cancel.
We already got 2 a month. All we're doing is canceling that one on the
It's not
10th.
on the agenda, so we can't vote on
canceling
it
one,
anyway.
okay,
We'll just
Mr.
get,
Mayor, I have to do it
Yeah.
and reset the date.
okay,
So just have the meeting on the 24th and then on the 22nd, have a budget meeting, is that what you're saying, sir?
at 10
Yeah,
a.m.
the budget meeting
10
has
a.m.
already been voted on.
Well, what I'm trying to tell you, this is not on the
I'll
agenda,
cancel
we
my
cannot
appointment.
vote on it.
No.
okay.
The mayor is gonna have to decide this, now he's got some input here,
Yeah.
but we can't tell you.
I'll cancel my doctor's appointment.
It's on the 22nd,
Yeah, but I can cancel
10
that.
o'clock, or?
10 o'clock.
Make
I'll
a motion
cancel
to
it.
adjourn.
I'll cancel it.
All right. Okay, so, you made motion, we adjourn, second, all right, motion made and seconded, adjourn, it's, let's see, 8:48, this,